All right, let's do this. We are live. Here, let me pull myself up here. Full screen, full camera, whatever you want to call it. I finally figured out how to get that tweet out earlier. Turns out if you copy the link for when you set up the broadcast in OBS, you can't see that right now. OBS might not mean much to you guys, but there's a way to get that tweet out faster so I don't have to awkwardly just be on my phone, try and multitask, tweet while I'm talking. But we're here. Yeah, first time ever doing a Sunday night stream. That's just kind of what I wanted to do tonight. We've got a great game on tap, first of all, right? I mean, Eagles, Cowboys with, a lot of stuff hanging in the balance here. And we'll dive into some of the stakes. There's a lot riding, and maybe not quite as much as some people might think. This might not entirely decide the division. We'll get into the tiebreakers a little bit. But a big game nonetheless. Maybe some MVP narrative stakes on the line too. And every time these teams get together, it seems to be some good football. We saw them play in Philly a little over a month ago, and that was a great game. So hoping for more of that. And as you guys might have guessed by the title or my headgear or my jersey or anything behind me, the game I just watched did not feature a lot of scoring. In fact, I saw someone tweet this out. The Vikings have had a lot of one-score wins. That was a literal one-score win in that we scored once and we won. And we'll talk more about that. But you guys know the drill at this point. If you're in here, right, feel free to say hi. I'll welcome you to the stream, and we can dive right in. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got a great game coming up in about 13 minutes. We've got Caden in here saying, oh, yeah, baby. Welcome to the stream, Caden. Good to have you in here, as always. And we've got Pear Champ back in here saying, hey, doctor, how are you doing? The Vikings are not looking too hot, to be honest. On offense, no, absolutely not. That was terrible. That was awful. Josh Dobbs got benched. Yeah, they scored 3 points. It was Josh Freeman against the Giants level bad. It was brutal, right? And honestly, it was hard to watch for a lot of the game. I was fighting sleep in the second quarter because it just was not very entertaining football. However, right, and this is just me coping. I agree with you. The Vikings do not look good right now. They have scored, 13 points in their last 2 games now? It's been bad. However, just for a silver lining here, all right, they got a shutout on defense. The defense is balling right now. Defense is playing its tails off. I mean, it's been playing great all season. Again, I get it. It's the Raiders. It's Aiden O'Connell, right? It's not exactly a gauntlet. I don't know how much of the game you caught. Ivan Pace, man. How about Ivan Pace? Maybe a defensive player of the week candidate. I mean, he went crazy. 13 total tackles, a sack, a tackle for loss, pass batted down, and of course, with the game on the line, Raiders get the ball right after the Vikings get the field goal. Interception to more or less seal it. I mean, he's been a revelation this year. Undrafted, day one starter. People were just puzzled why he was undrafted. He was so good at Cincinnati. Vikings scoop him up within minutes of undrafted free agency opening up. And he's been, legitimately one of their best players. A defensive rookie of the year dark horse. He's not going to win it. But I don't know, man. If I was a voter, he might be top 5 on my ballot. But I mean, yeah, the offense is just not working right now. Dobbs got benched. Honestly, those stats are rough, and it was almost even worse than that. I mean, if you watched, I mean, goodness gracious, there was just absolutely nothing going in the passing game. He had a literal hospital pass to Justin Jefferson, which broke my heart. Right, I'm rocking the JJ jersey right now. I had not worn this jersey in a while. I was going to save it for the game that he came back. Right, he comes out there. He doesn't play the first snap, so technically he wasn't starting. But the excitement is there, right? And, he gets a catch, and he gets the first down. He does, the first down point. It's oh, yeah, he's back. And then his second catch, he just absolutely cooks his man on a filthy route, sends him the wrong way. Dobbs with a terrible pass. Jefferson has to, leap up, gets absolutely drilled, somehow holds on. It's another signature Jefferson play, and it's like, oh, like, yeah, like he's back. It's showing it right now. I'm sure you've probably seen it at this point. And, you know, he's walking, and then he goes over to the sideline. He goes into the tent, and it's like, oh, crap. Chest injury, out for the game, had to go to the hospital. I mean, we'll see what his status is for the rest of the season, to be honest. I would be surprised to see him play much more football, but who knows? I mean, maybe it's not bad. But yeah, there is not necessarily good energy around the Vikings right now, which is interesting because this was like a big game for them coming into this, right? They win, they go back up above 500 in a NFC playoff race that's open for sure. They're kind of in the mix with a few teams. But I mean, you know, obviously, you know, this game was not as bad as these last two games. This game, I felt like they at least played respectably. The offense did sputter, and it wasn't as good as like this game or this game. But past two games, 13 points in the last two games. But of course, they've technically outscored their opponents in the last two games, right? They've scored 13, but they've only allowed 12. The defense is good. I'm not concerned about the defense. However, the offense is a big concern. To be honest, it would not shock me if we did not make the playoffs one bit. I think this game is probably going to define our season. I know you're a Packers fan, Pear Champ. In fact, Caden is a Packers fan too. We've got two Packers fans in here for sure. I'm going to be real, man. Based off what I've seen the past few weeks, I think I would probably pick the Packers in this game. But we'll see. It's still wide open. It's funny because like the Packers and the Bengals games look a lot tougher now. Burrow goes down. You're like, oh, it's the Bengals with Jake Browning. That should be easy. No, not really anymore. Jake Browning's played some good football, and the Bengals are kind of rolling now. And then the Packers are rolling. I mean, just a completely different team from when we saw them back in Lambeau Field. But it's the Lions games that look a little easier now. But even then, I think we split with Detroit at best. I have very little faith in this offense right now to really get anything going. It has been, honestly, the offense has not been good since the first half of the Saints game. Even the Broncos game, it wasn't that great. Second half of the Saints game was not too great. And it is completely crashed and burned last 2 weeks. Coming off a bye week, you would hope that maybe they could get a little bit more going offensively. They did a lot to, like, you know, publicly stick with Dobbs, which I honestly didn't mind. After this stretch, you feel like he earned himself at least a few weeks, but I think Nick Mullins has got to be the guy at this point. It wasn't much, but he just looked 100 times better than Dobbs in that game. All of his passes just looked better. The ball looked to come out of his hands more good. He was a little bit more decisive. But again, it's not even like he was a world beater. I mean, 6.4 yards per attempt is not something to write home about. But Pear Champ says the Packers beating the Chiefs did surprise me last week and thinking they could win one playoff game if it's the Lions. Oh, absolutely. I honestly think, like, and we can talk about the Lions a little bit because they are starting to look like the F word, as in Frauds. Maybe a little bit. They'll still win the division probably, but we'll see beyond that. I don't know, man. I think if it's like Lions, Packers in the playoffs, that might be like a toss-up right now. The Packers are playing some excellent football, and they're going to have kind of another test tomorrow. I mean, it's the Giants. They should be favored over them, but it's another game of like, can they keep this rolling? And it's not like the Giants' defense is bad. They've got some players playing pretty good ball for them right now. Thibodeau has really come along. Deonte Banks has turned in a solid rookie season. Obviously, Dexter Lawrence is one of the best defenders in the league. So, you know, it's not like this Giants team is just awful, terrible, like talentless. Like, yeah, they've got Tommy DeVito rolling out there talking about his cutlets and the Italian heritage of Tommy DeVito. But it is kind of still a test for them. It's like, can they keep this? Can they keep it going? Maybe. I would pick them to, but they're looking like a playoff team right now, to be honest. This playoff race is wide open in the NFC. Let's pull up the standings here, and we can segue that into previewing this Eagles-Cowboys game, because remember, that's what we're here for. But it is always fun talking about what's going on around the league, too. But let's pull up the playoff standings here. I will say the Vikings did get some help with results around the league. The Rams and Seahawks both losing today. Massive. Absolutely massive. The Rams are another team where it's like, honestly, like the Rams are probably a better team than the Vikings, but they've had a tough schedule. They're kind of out of the woods now, at least for a little bit. They'll have the Niners again last week, I think, but would not shock me to see him rip off 3 wins right here. Matthew Stafford is playing some unbelievable football right now. Their wide receivers are sick. And, they could have beat the Ravens. That was a great game. Maybe game of the year. That or Eagles-Bills, I would say so far, has been game of the year. But this was a great game. I had this on, I guess on Red Zone, but I had my eye on that one. But it would not shock me. They're at 6 wins. Yeah, they could get to 9 in this stretch. This game might be tough, but 9 wins might be enough. But again, the Packers have that head-to-head tiebreaker over the Rams. That will go maybe a long way. We'll see. And then the Vikings and Packers play. That could very well decide who gets this 7 seed. It very well could. The Vikings only need 2 more to get to 9. I feel like 9 wins is the magic number for that last wild card spot, but we'll see. And then the Seahawks dropping. And they've got the Eagles next week. But for the sake of this game, Eagles-Cowboys, well, they're separated by 1 game, right? And Philly did beat Dallas earlier on in the season. If we pull up Philly's schedule here, right? And we'll keep this tab open for the standings. But they got a big win in Philly. 5-point game. Came down to the very end. Dallas played really well in this game. They might have been able to win this one. They just couldn't quite pull it out. Philly does what they do. They managed to find a way to win this game. I don't know why it doesn't auto-mute at this point. Whatever. And at this point, it looked like, Philly might run away with the division. You know, Dallas was up and down at this point. But since then, they've had to go through the gauntlet. And they've done a good job going through said gauntlet. Beating the Chiefs, beating the Bills, and then just hammered by the Niners. And if you watched my pregame stream last week, right, maybe you could see it coming. Now, I didn't think it was going to be 42-19. I thought that, the Niners might win by 10, but it'd be a comfortable 10 or something like that. They just get hammered. And you felt it coming with this defense. They had really allowed some big games, especially through the air. Right? I mean, it took the Chiefs just dropping passes left and right. The Chiefs probably should have won this game. Sam Howell had a big day against them. Dak Prescott had a big day against them. Josh Allen had a big day against them. It was just big game after big game. And the secondary just hasn't been quite up to snuff. The linebackers have been especially poor, and they're injured. And now they play Dallas again. In Dallas, we're about to kick this one off. I'm going to make my pick here, right? And I will say, before I dive into my pick, for those wondering, let's say Dallas wins. Philly would still lead the division. And the reason for that is because they would be tied on record. They would be split 1-1 head-to-head, right? They'd have the same divisional record. Well, I guess the Cowboys might technically leap them because they'd have 4 divisional wins. But let's say Philly sweeps against the Commanders and Giants, which is very likely. Then it would come down to conference record, which Philly has a better conference record because their other loss was to the Jets, while the Cowboys' other loss was to the Cardinals. So that might be what ends up keeping the Cowboys out of the top seed or winning the division, is that loss to the Cardinals. Because conference record is the next tiebreaker after head-to-head in division. So that is something to keep a pulse on. The Eagles will still need to lose another game. Dallas would have to finish with a better record than them. They won't be able to get it on a tiebreaker, even if they win this game, which is crazy. It's crazy. But this game still does mean a lot. I'm picking Dallas. I've said the whole season these 2 teams are going to split. I had the Cowboys winning the division going into the year. It might not happen. It might just come down to the fact that they lost to the freaking Cardinals. But I'm taking Dallas in Dallas. They've been just unbelievable at home this year. Philly's defense was problematic. Their defense has just kind of been bad, really, over the past few months. I wonder how they hold up against the red hot Dak Prescott, these wide receivers. CeeDee Lamb went nuclear the last time they played, almost 200 yards. I think he's in line for another big game today. Give me the Cowboys 31, Eagles 24. maybe even some more points. We'll see. I think we'll be in for some points tonight. I think we're going to be in for another great game, but give me the Cowboys by 7, man. We're rocking with the Cowboys. Not surprising if you've been watching this channel, but let's lock in with the Cowboys here. We've got some activity in the chat here. Let's see what's going on. Pearchamp says, also RIP the Texans. Not sure how hurt Stroud is, but that could end their playoff hopes. Yeah, that's right. He did get hurt, and that's after Tank Dell got hurt last week. Tough break for a team that's been so much fun, and an ugly loss to the Jets. Can we talk about Zach Wilson kind of playing pretty well? They're now at 7-6, and again, it's packed in the AFC too for that last playoff spot. You might need more than 9 wins, maybe not, but that loss might be killer, honestly, for their playoff hopes. They're now on the outside looking in. Right, the Colts are ahead of them, and the Colts, at least for the moment, have the tiebreaker over them. They'll play again. The Steelers are there somehow. No disrespect to Pittsburgh, and then the Browns with a big win. They're still a game behind Jacksonville. I mean, their hopes are alive for the division, but man, it's an uphill battle. It is an uphill battle for Houston, and it's tough that C.J. Stroud got hurt. We'll see his status. I didn't see how severe the injury was, but we'll keep a pulse on that. Caden saying, I forgot to set my fantasy lineup and haven't looked at the matchup yet. Can you rip the Band-Aid off for me? Well, let's take a look at your fantasy team, shall we? That is always a tough moment. I've definitely been there before where it's like, oh, shoot. You wake up, maybe you say you're going to set your lineup, and then you forget, and it just doesn't happen. Let's take a look. Okay, Sleeper being weird right now. Let's see how you're doing in the Gritty Goblins League. Which, my team is looking pretty solid in there. You are projected to win, my friend. You have an 89% chance of winning, according to the app. Parker has 96.2 points, but he's done for the day now. Justin Herbert getting hurt really, really cost him. Got only 2.84 points from him. Tough to see him go out early. Right? You've got Jordan Love, Tony Pollard, Derrick Henry still to go. And you are down by 25. So if you can get 25 between a quarterback and 2 running backs and a kicker and a defense, you'll get there. You should be good. That's crazy. I think you're going to win. So no Band-Aid ripping off right now. Parker's in here. Welcome to the stream, Parker. Saying my team is so hurt. Yeah, man. I mean, quarterback going out in like the first quarter. That is tough. That is definitely going to impact your lineup. So look at that. We got some of the boys in here right now talking fantasy. And hey, Parker, you ready for this Madden game tonight? I don't know, man. You seem convinced that you're going to lose, but I will not. Anything can happen in these user v user games, man. For those that don't know, me, Caden, and Jack, we have this tradition that goes back many years now where we do a fantasy draft franchise on Madden 20 on the Xbox, and we do an online league together. And this year is the first year that we welcomed Parker into the fray. We do random teams, like the draft order is always random. It's a lot of fun. It's a nice little tradition, and we're right in the thick of our season right now. And yeah, Parker just so happened to get the Vikings for the first time in history of us doing this, which is crazy because Jack and I are big Vikings fans. We've always wanted to get the Vikings. And this man gets the Vikings first time, and I got the Giants. And if you know your NFL 2019 schedule lore, the Giants and Vikings played against each other week 5 of 2019. So we're at week 5 now. That is the matchup. We're going to hopefully play that tonight after this game if we're not tired and ready to go to bed, but we'll see about that. Gabe is in here now. Welcome to the stream, Gabe, saying Parker is in here and also saying, hey, Eric, need your cliff notes on the Bucks and Lions, please. And also, aren't the Broncos a game behind the Chiefs? Wait, are they? They might be. I think you might be right because the Chiefs have 8 wins and the Broncos have 7. Yeah. And they split. So they're right there. What if the Chiefs are a wild card team? That is crazy. And also, Parker with a good point. Not only Herbert, but also JJ and Nico Collins all getting injured. That is tough, man. Tough luck. But cliff notes for Bucks and Lions. We're about to get started. Let's dive into the cliff notes for the Bucks and Lions. I actually watched this full Bucks-Falcons game. Me and Christine, we had our Christmas celebration this weekend, which involved making gingerbread houses while watching the Falcons game. And, well, unfortunately for the Falcons and Christine, their losing ways are back at it. And it was a tough, tough loss, man. Desmond Ridder had a very Desmond Ridder game, is what I'll say. You know, on a down-to-down basis, I feel like he's actually improved in a lot of ways. He made some decent throws, right? You know, he made some plays with his legs. He did take him down on a late touchdown drive to put him in position, right? They scored a touchdown with 3:23 left. Not bad. You can't control that too much. But the turnovers were costly. Missing throws, just not on the same page with some of his guys. And it's just been the same story all season for him. The toddler crashed the Ferrari too much for them to get it over the finish line. And how about the Buccaneers? Baker Mayfield back against the wall. It looked like it was over, man. But Baker Mayfield takes them down the field for a go-ahead drive. It wasn't pretty, right? They didn't get much from Mike Evans. He had only one catch. But the running game was kind of going for them. Rashad White over 100 yards. And on the other side, the Bucs defense held up pretty well against the run without Vita Vea, which is a pleasant surprise for Tampa. Bijan or Bijan, I've heard both, honestly, at this point. If it is Bijan, if I get that confirmed, I'll start calling him Bijan because, you got to get the name right. And that's what they were saying today. But 10 for 34, he did have the touchdown, but not a whole lot. And, they did have 96 rushing yards, but only 3.7 a pop. That's when the Falcons can't run the ball, they struggle to win games. And the running game has not been nearly as consistent or dominant this year for Atlanta. So that was the difference. It was good to see Drake London get involved, but yeah, Buccaneers defense came to play. They made some plays undermanned. They held up against the run, and somehow, some way, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are leading the division at 6-7 after a massive win. And I don't want to rain on your parade, Gabe. I mean, who knows, right? I mean, anything can happen. I'm going to be honest. If you put a gun to my head and forced me to pick a team to win the division, I still might say the Falcons, simply based off the fact that Tampa's schedule is just so much more difficult down the stretch. And even though they did win, they split. I mean, Packers, Jags, 2 tough games. We'll see how Trevor Lawrence is looking in a few weeks health-wise. Saints and Panthers are both very winnable, though, so I don't know. If they go 2-2, that might be enough, but it is a tough stretch. The Falcons have a little bit easier sledding, and the Saints are in it too somehow, but good Lord. I honestly think the Saints would be the most boring team to win the division. Not saying that there's a good option, but I don't want to watch the Saints in the playoffs, to be honest. But yeah, it was a character building win for the Bucs, who, they talked about a lot in the broadcast. They'd won only 2 of their last 6 or something, but they somehow got it done. Baker Mayfield finds a way to win. We'll dive into the Lions here. I'll pull that game up, but let's go watch this opening drive here for the Cowboys. The offense coming out on the field. Let's get another game of the year contender going, shall we? Come on, we've had some good games here today. I just had to watch a 3-0 game. Let's watch a masterclass here. Let's watch some good football. Cowboys will start out in the shotgun play action. Prescott's going to roll out. Nice little dump off to Pollard. All right, good start. Just get 5 yards. Yeah, I mean, the key is can the Cowboys test this Eagles defense vertically? That's what it's been. The Eagles have just been getting gashed through the air. You can really throw on this team. And, they get 6 yards right there on the check down. But can these corners hold up against the Cowboys receivers? And can they hold up against the seam routes to Jake Ferguson? Can the linebackers hold up? Oh, it looked like Pollard might have got the first down there. They're going to spot him short, though. Also, thank you for the compliment on the Vikings Santa hats. Also, well, this is ahead now. That's unfortunate. We know that Kevontae Turpin is about to do something, but thank you for the compliment on the hat. I got this hat a few years ago. I'm in the Christmas spirit, right? Vikings with a win. A win is a win. We're going to rock the Vikings Santa hat. I see Pear Champ's comment. I'll read that here after this play. Let's see how Cavante Turpin gets these 22 yards. There's a little end around and acres of space for him. The speedy Turpin, we know what he can do in the return game. Just get him the ball in space, man. Just let him cook. But Pear Champ saying the Rams were close to winning but pulled a Week 1 Bills, letting the Ravens return a punt for a touchdown for the win. Yeah, Tylan Wallace, not even their primary return man. He was like more of a possession receiver out of Oklahoma State a few years ago. Sick return for him, though. And again, just a great game. That was great football on both sides. Matthew Stafford played out of his mind. Lamar Jackson played great. Just good football all around. There's Pollard going. Running game going early for Dallas. They haven't been quite as good on the ground this year. Pollard hasn't been quite as efficient. I think one of the biggest changes that Dallas has made and has really kind of prompted this big run for them is they've gone away from the Texas Coast offense that Mike McCarthy wanted to run, where they kind of wanted to turn Tony Pollard into a 20 carries a game type of back, and as good as he is and explosive as he is, that's not really who he is. He is better as more of a complementary piece. Keep him fresh, get those explosive runs, and, they've just kind of opened it up and let Dak cook. But it's good to see the running game going here early for Dallas, too. And again, I know I've harped on this Philly defense a lot, but really just the way they're constructed is they really rely on this pass rush of theirs to be elite. And for a lot of the season, it has worked. This pass rush has been able to close out games. But the problem is when they're not elite, when they're not getting like 5-6 sacks a game, their defense just isn't good enough to hold up against the top teams in the league. And we saw it come to fruition fully last week. They were just outmatched by the 49ers. And now here's Dallas moving the ball on them early. And they're doing it on the ground, which is a little interesting. But Gabe says NFC wildcard is insane right now. It is, man. There's going to be teams that are going to have a decent record and get left out. Kind of crazy how quickly the NFC has shifted from like, oh, the bottom is so terrible to we've got a few solid teams that'll be fighting for that 7 seed. QB sneak with Dak, easy money. They don't need to do the tush push. He just falls forward. I'm sure we'll be seeing the brotherly shove today from Philly. Remember, it's only the brotherly shove when the Eagles do it. Everyone else just does the tush push. But just falling forward. Dak needs a yard. He gets like 3 or 4. First down. I wish there was a way for me to delay this. I have a strong feeling that Dak is going to pass incomplete short right to CeeDee Lamb here. I just need to stop looking. Oh, well, that was not short. That was like 20 yards down the field. It was to the right, but they were looking for CeeDee there. CeeDee Lamb versus Darius Slay. Going to be a matchup to watch all game long. And last time they played, it was advantage CeeDee. That's for sure. CeeDee has been on a tear recently. Eric R. in here. Welcome to the stream, Eric. Good to see you in here. Saying, crazy how the Vikings are still in the playoff race with backup QBs. Yeah, tell me about it. It is crazy is an appropriate word. It is crazy how the Vikings are still in the playoff race. Pollard, little swing pass. Might not quite be enough for a first down. They're going to say third down there, but they're in the red zone. Can they finish this drive off with 6 here? Again, I do think there's going to be a lot of points. I do think Philly is going to be able to score with Dallas in this game. Dallas's corners are good, and they do make a lot of big plays, but they run a lot of man coverage, and I love Deron Bland, but yeah, sometimes he does get burnt. We saw that in their last game against the Seahawks. And these Eagles, they have the receivers to really take it to these Dallas corners. They're going to dare him to run man coverage. Let's see if Dak can get out of this. Escapability. There's CeeDee Lamb, and there's a walk-in touchdown, but there's a flag down. We'll see about the flag, but for the moment, it's an opening score for the Cowboys on offense. Effortless, just marching down the field. Dak creating out of structure. Referees are discussing. And there's no foul. It's a touchdown, Cowboys. Effortless from Dallas. I mean, this is what to look out for, right? But they did it a lot on the ground. What was the breakdown of runs to passes there? Four passes, four completions, 5 passes, 5 runs. 50-50 balance there. And there's that playmaking from Dak, right? This finally, like, this is the most loose and comfortable he's really looked since that ankle injury that took him out in 2020. There it is again. He can beat you in structure and out of structure. When he just turns up the swag dial just a little bit, he's a lot of fun to watch, man. He's one of the most entertaining quarterbacks in the league right now. I get it. I rave about him a lot, but there's a reason. I mean, just look at what you're seeing on your TV screen right now. Statement drive from Dallas. Can the Eagles answer? Let's see if Jalen Hurts and company have an answer in them after the commercial break. Let's take a look. First, we'll go, as promised, with the Cliff Notes version of Lions-Bears, and then we'll take a look at the NFC playoff race a little bit more, do a little bit of a deeper dive into that, because Eric is right. I mean, hey, the Vikings are technically in a playoff spot right now. That's all I'm going to say. We'll see if that remains or not. But Lions lose again. This one, a fairly concerning performance from them. A team that, has kind of been teetering towards the F word category, F-R-A-U-D-S. Again, it's not a nice word. I get it. I didn't like when the Vikings were called that last year. But recently, really over this last stretch, I mean, the defense is just clearly not what we thought it was in this part of the season. And even then, they had a concerning performance against the Seahawks. And it kind of boils down to, one, injuries, right? They're super banged up in their secondary. They lose a few guys for the season. There's not much you can do about that. They also lost Aleem McNeil, which was massive. Been such a key contributor on their defensive line. It's really just Aiden Hutchinson and vibes now up front for them. And yeah, I mean, their secondary on paper looked much improved from last season, but it's still not great. And just the style of defense they play, it's kind of like the Cowboys, where it's a lot of man coverage, and that works a lot better when you have like top end talent in the secondary. And even like with the Cowboys, they get lit up at times, but that's with Gilmore and Bland, and when they had Diggs healthy too. Whereas it's different when you're running all that man coverage with Cam Sutton and Jerry Jacobs. And it's not even like these guys are bad, but the recipe is kind of out on the Lions, and that you can just kind of throw the ball around the yard on them. And Justin Fields, who seems to kind of have their number, had another great game, both through the air and on the ground. The Bears as a team rushed for 142 yards, almost 5 yards a pop there. And offensively, it was another Jared Goff turnover game. And that's been the theme for the Lions really over this past month, even when they've won some of these games, is that the defense has let up a lot and Jared Goff has turned the ball over some. And, my opinion on the Lions just hasn't changed a whole lot since the start of the season. I think that they're a playoff caliber team. They'll win the division, but honest to goodness, man, I see this as like a 10-11 win team. And looking at the rest of their schedule, like Denver, I think they can absolutely beat Denver. I don't think that Denver's just going to kill them now. But it's probably going to be a close game. These teams are fairly close to each other, I'd say. Vikings twice, they should beat us, let's be honest. As much concerns as I have over the Lions defense, who's going to throw the ball for Minnesota? That is a legit concern. Here's what I'll say about this Cowboys game, though. I honestly think the final score of this game might turn some heads. I don't know, man. I think Dallas might shock some people. I think they could be in line to put up a lot of points. I think this could be like one of those Cowboys win by like 21 games, to be quite honest with you. I just, they are a good team. They're well built, but they just don't have that extra level to them. And they're in an interesting spot to try and figure out how to get to that extra level before they have to pay all their guys. And they start owing second contracts, and Ben Johnson's status is up in the air. Sorry if that's if I'm like going in on the Lions a little bit. Like, I respect the Lions, absolutely. And I think that like winning a playoff game is on the table for them, but this is not a Super Bowl tier team, in my opinion. They're not at the level of the two teams playing right now. That's my Cliff Notes on the Lions. But Parker with a good question here, or comment. I haven't read the full thing yet, but this might be a hot take, but no quarterback deserves the MVP award. Hill or CMC should be front runners. Thoughts? Who's your MVP candidate? I could totally get down with Tyreek Hill or CMC making a strong MVP push. Absolutely. I think this is probably the weakest QB MVP field that we've seen in a while. Tyreek Hill might get 2,000 yards for crying out loud, which has never happened before. And CMC is scoring a touchdown every week. He is the engine that makes this 49ers offense go. I totally understand that. I think those two would probably be top 5 in my ballot. I've said it a lot of times. I would genuinely think about voting for Dak Prescott right now. And I would also seriously consider Josh Allen, who, the biggest thing probably going against Prescott and especially Allen is the narrative aspect, which whether you love it or hate it, it's an award that's voted by the media, and that is an aspect to it, right? The Bills are 7-6. They're probably not going to win the division. They might not even make the playoffs even after this last big win. So that might hurt Allen's case a little bit. I think Allen has certainly played well enough, and he lives up to the V part of it invaluable, and that he is really carrying the Bills this year through all the turmoil that they've dealt with. He has been their engine. And Dak Prescott has probably been the quote-unquote best quarterback this year as far as quality of play and numbers, and the fact that the Cowboys are sitting at 9-3 and still alive for the 1 seed, still alive for the division. But the narrative thing that might hurt him is, the Cowboys haven't beaten a lot of good teams, and they played San Francisco on Sunday night and they got humiliated again, and they lost to Philly, and if they get swept by Philly, that will hurt them. I think if Dak wants to actually win MVP, the Cowboys probably have to win this game. I don't see a world where that happens without it. But if there was a year for a non-quarterback to win the award, I would say it's this year. I could get down with Tyreek Hill winning MVP. I will play devil's advocate a little bit in that Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown 2 years ago, and in my opinion was just as valuable to the Rams as Tyreek is to the Dolphins right now, and he didn't win it. But, again, 2,000 yards is just insane, and what Tyreek Hill has done has been incredible. But I also, if you're going to argue Tyreek, why not argue Tua? And I get the argument against Tua. Maybe the system helps him out. Maybe it helps to have Tyreek, but I don't know. That's just me being devil's advocate. I'm not saying Tua for MVP or anything, but I guess to answer your question, as of right now, I would say Dak Prescott. Ask me again after this game. But I genuinely think I might vote Dak if I had to vote right now. Pearchamp with a good question, too. I'll check that after this 1st and 10 for Philly. 5-yard run right there. Philly's moving the ball right now. Again, they should be able to score with Dallas. Pearchamp asks, if you were to say who do you think is your Super Bowl matchup, who would you go with? I would still say Dolphins at 49ers, and I can get behind that. I think that would be such a fun matchup. Master versus apprentice, Kyle Shanahan versus Mike McDaniel. Two of the most fun, invigorating, exciting teams in the league. Teams with juice on both offense and defense. And the two quote-unquote system quarterbacks, but again, who cares if you're winning games? It doesn't really matter to me. I could get behind that. I might be lame and stick with my preseason pick, which I still genuinely believe could happen. I will say this. My preseason pick was Cowboys-Bills. I honestly think that is still, in my opinion, one of the more likely matchups. And I know that sounds crazy because the Bills are fighting for their playoff lives right now. But, man, if the Bills get in, no one is going to want to play them. And with how well Josh Allen is playing, this is still a very good team. They've just, I don't know. They could totally get hot and win a few playoff games. And they just beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead, which I get isn't maybe what it used to be this year. They also should have beaten the Eagles. They are right there. But I think, logically speaking, if I had to actually pick one, if I actually had to pick one right now, and if I went away from my offseason prediction, I would say 49ers-Ravens. Give us a little 2012 rematch. I do like the 49ers to get back to the Super Bowl, man. They look like the best team in the NFL. They're complete in every aspect of the game. And the Ravens just keep finding ways to win games. Lamar Jackson's been playing great. The run game is still there, even without Greg Roman. The defense maybe isn't quite as historically good as it looked earlier on in the year, but they've got it all. They've got great coaching. They've got a great quarterback. They've even got great special teams. I kind of like the Ravens to go on a run maybe. So I would say 49ers, Ravens, or Cowboys, Bills. Those would be my two picks. Another penalty. Did Philly flinch again? Is that another false start for them? It's already 3rd and 11. They're looking to get behind the 8 ball here. We'll see. It is a false start. It's going to be 3rd and 16 now. So here's a chance for Dallas, for their pass rushers to pin their ears back. Another good on good, right? This Cowboys defensive line versus this Philly offensive line. And I'm going to just go away from this page, honestly, because I just keep getting it spoiled. Shoot, man. What do I do? Am I just going to go to this maybe? I'll figure something out. I wish that I could delay my screen. You can pause a video and then you just press play 10 seconds later. I knew that just happened. That's a crazy play by Jalen Hurts, by the way, to find the open Devontae Smith. Eagles pick up the 3rd and 16. How about it? Good answer from Jalen Hurts. 30 yards. Here they come. Hurts, play action. Bang! First down and more. Is that Dallas Goedert? It is. It's going to be 1st and goal depending on this flag. We'll see. Take a swig of water. Remember to stay hydrated as always, folks. Oh, it's offensive pass interference. All right, so it's on A.J. Brown. Let's see what happens here. They get him for the pick? Yeah. By the book, yeah, that is legit. I will say I've seen players get away with more before, so I can understand if there are some Philly fans that are yelling at their TV right now. But by the book, that is the correct call. That is a pick play through and through. Now it's 1st and 20. Philly behind the chains again. They were able to pick it up last time. Hurts will keep and ooh, look at that. Oh, the ball came out. The ball is out. The Cowboys fall on it. They're pointing it's their ball. And it's Dallas football. Oh, what a turn of events. The Cowboys come up with the football. Jalen Hurts coughed it up. Oh, no. Fumbles have been quietly an issue for Jalen Hurts a little bit. He fumbles again. They got ripped out before he went down. Couldn't quite see who got the ball out there. That's 6. What a big turn of events. It was looking like Philly was going to be looking at 2nd and 7, which keeps them on schedule with how they're able to pick up every 3rd and 4th down. Dallas forces a turnover early, and they stop Philly in their tracks. They go from looking at certain points to getting nothing on a promising opening drive. And now that Philly defense has to trot back out onto the field. We'll see what they have in store. It was, oh, man, that is a killer turnover right there. 7-0. Dallas gets the ball back. Cowboys feeling good early. All right, let's take a look at this NFC playoff picture. So, I think if I had to put money on it, I would say the Niners get the 1 seed, the all-important 1 seed, get that first-round bye, home field advantage throughout, right? Philly loses this game. They're both at 3 losses. San Francisco would leapfrog them on virtue of tiebreaker of head-to-head. And, if they finished with the same record, San Francisco would get that 1 seed. I like San Francisco to get the 1 seed. I think the winner of the East will get the 2 seed, which will be either Philly or Dallas. And again, it's going to be an uphill battle for Dallas, even if they do win this game, because Philly will still hold the lead, and they will just need to win the rest of these games, which are all winnable games. That Seahawks game, they're a better team than Seattle. It is in Seattle. They'll have to deal with the 12th man, but I would favor Philly in all of these games. I would like them to get the job done here. Maybe the Seahawks receivers cause some problems, but Seattle's got their own issues right now, and they're fighting for their own playoff lives. Versus Dallas, again, well, oh, man, I mean, Dallas just has like a tough stretch. The Bills, I don't know. That's a tough game. Then the Dolphins, another tough game. And then the Lions, even though I said, oh, Dallas might win big, you still never know. This is a playoff team. They've got 3 straight games against playoff teams. 4 if you count this game. And then they end with the Commanders. Dallas is going to probably have to win out in this stretch if they want to win the division. The odds of that are probably fairly low. They will probably get the 5 seed, but I don't know. Maybe the 5 seed isn't the worst thing to be this year. Because you get to play the 4 seed. The winner of the NFC South. So we'll see. Maybe we'll see a playoff rematch of last year, Bucks Cowboys. So I would say if I had to give the doctor's projections, I would say San Francisco gets the 1, Philly gets the 2, Detroit stays at 3. I might say the Falcons get the 4, Cowboys 5, and then this is where things get crazy because I feel like those teams are pretty set, right? Someone has to win the division. And then the Cowboys are locked in as a wild card. These teams seem to be locked in, right? After that, you've got this chaos of the Vikings, the Packers, the Rams, and the Seahawks, and maybe even the Falcons and the Saints, because they're still kind of right there. And there's going to be 2 spots up for grabs between these teams. I'm going to be real honest, man. If I had to pick right now, I would probably say the Packers and the Rams, to be quite honest. The Vikings do have that 1-game advantage. Maybe they can get it. Again, 9 wins is probably the target. They're going to need 2, and it's not going to be easy. I don't know that they get 2, to be quite honest, after what I've seen today. The defense will keep them in every game. The defense is sick. I have 0 worries about the defense. The offense scares me to death, though. But we'll see. 1st and 15 after a penalty for the Cowboys. Dak on the run finds CD. Get some of that yardage back. And that'll set up 2nd and a little bit more manageable. Maybe like 2nd and 7 or so. But it is a fascinating race down the stretch. And again, I talked about like the Bills in the Super Bowl. It's crazy because technically they're 11th in the playoff standings right now. And they do have a tough stretch coming up here. But I think they can pull it off. I really do. I honestly think the Bills will be in the playoffs. Good play right there by Slay to break that one up. Working against Brandon Cooks. It was actually 2nd and 9. Prescott tried to drop that one in the bucket there. Slay was with him. Good job to just bat it away. Good sticky coverage. Positive rep right there for the Eagles. Their secondary holding up on that play. And it was another just broken play. Dak trying to create. And Slay just stuck with him the whole way. Did not lose his man. That's a veteran corner right there. All right, tip your cap to Darius Slay. 3rd down and 9. Eagles could really stand to get a stop right here. Stop the Cowboys in their tracks. Quickly get that ball back after the fumble. Dak going deep. He's got CD. He layered that ball over the head. And it's a 1st down Cowboys. Those 2 have just been money this year. Let's watch this route by CD Lamb. Just a little, whoop. Oh, he lost him. Dak knew it right away. And, he layered the ball. Wasn't a perfect pass. CD had to go up and jump to get it, but they hook up. CD off to another hot start. 3 for 45 and a tutty. There's that player to watch. If any of y'all played like Prize Picks or Underdog today, I don't know, CD. Good play to have. But we've got games solved in here. Welcome to the stream, Games. Good to have you back in here. Says, I know you are a Vikings fan, but would you rather be a fan of the Lions, who most likely are going to make the playoffs and could win a game for the first time in 30 years, or a fan of the Packers, who might have a franchise quarterback and a young team? So I'm going to try and interpret that question as, like, who do you think has the brighter future, right? And that's actually a pretty juicy question because I think you could make a compelling argument for both teams. I will stew on that for a sec as I watch Tony Pollard run up the middle. But I like that. So let's walk through this, right? So the Lions, if we go back to their roster, the Lions do have a very strong young core, a lot of homegrown talent, developed players, great management in place. Brad Holmes has done an A-plus job drafting and developing. Dan Campbell has set this winning culture. He's got a good coaching staff around him. You know, maybe I went in on Aaron Glenn a little bit, but Ben Johnson is one of the best offensive coordinators in the game. No one is denying that. That pass got away from Dak a little bit. It's going to be fourth down. But, you know, great running backs. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like he is a star. He's a young star in this league. Jamison Williams hasn't quite put it together, but he always just shows glimpses, these flashes, right, where it's just like, man, he just looks faster than everyone else. Sam Laporta's been a star. Offensive line is great. Defense still a big question mark, but, you know, they've got some young pieces on there. Let's compare that to the Packers here, but first let's watch this 4th and 2 for the Cowboys. I think they are going to go for it. They will. And they're going to run it with Pollard up the middle. Ooh, he got it. It did not look like he was going to get it for a sack. I was about to, like, put my hands up like, oh, what are you doing? But he got it. Wow. All right. Gutsy call there by Dallas. You're just going to run up the gut with your smaller back against this ferocious Eagles front. But it worked. He just barely got through that hole there. They were able to seal off that gap. Maybe a hold. Maybe. I don't know. It's tough to tell in real time, but they'll go back to Pollard here. Pollard looking good. He's going to cut up down near the red zone. But a flag is down. This one might be coming back. All right, so that's the situation for the Lions, right? They do have this good young core, good infrastructure in place, I would say. Compared to the Packers, who for a while looked just adrift, just lost. They were not looking good. This stretch was just some ugly, bad football. But since then, they have looked like one of the hottest teams in the league. And they have Wow. Packers fans, they're going to be going crazy. I almost called Jordan Love Aaron Rodgers. Goodness gracious. Which I will follow up on something I said about the Packers last week. I might have to recant a statement I made about Green Bay. That pass is batted. Nothing. Just falls to the ground, but good job by the Eagles D-line. Was that Fletcher Cox getting his hands up there? Good play by him. But they've got Jordan Love, who's really starting to turn it on and play some great football. He is really running this LaFleur offense well, and it's with not the greatest collection of receivers around him. I do love their tight ends, Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave. Just a lot of young players on this offense. They too have a young core. They definitely don't have like any superstars in their receiver room, but like Christian Watson has shown flashes. I like what I've seen from Jaden Reed some. They've been able to get a lot out of this. I will say I really like Matt LaFleur as a coach. I think he's about even with Ben Johnson as an offensive mind. The plus here, though, that I would give the Packers is LaFleur is their head coach. Ben Johnson's the OC. LaFleur's not going anywhere. Ben Johnson might be gone after this year, and the Lions are going to have to replace that. With the Packers, they will always have LaFleur, and he will always be headlining, in my opinion, a good coaching staff. Like, he's just earned that after the job he's done this year. Dak with a bounce pass. We do have a flag, however. Cowboys might be getting a first down. So that I will say that is a big advantage for the Packers, is I think that their coaching staff might have more longevity because LaFleur will be there. Defensively, I think they have more talent than the Lions. They just haven't always played up to their talent level. I don't love the Packers defensive coordinator either, to be honest. He's like the opposite of Aaron Glenn, where they just play so much off coverage. It was something that a lot of Packers fans complained about last year. It's still kind of been a problem, maybe not quite as bad, but they've been playing better football too. Now, for the next 5 years, who do I think is going to be a better team? I think if there's any Lions fans in here, they might hate me. I honestly might say the Packers. Again, one of the biggest things one of my quote-unquote biggest takes, I think, and this is not Lions specific. This goes for everyone, and this will happen to the Packers too, right? But just these young teams, these young cores, they don't stay together forever. And for as many good players, good young players that the Lions have right now, and they're all cheap, right? Amon-Ra is cheap right now. Laporta is cheap. Hutchinson is cheap. They're going to have to pay these guys. Sewell's going to be due for a contract extension soon. I mean, Jared Goff, they're going to have to make a decision about. Ben Johnson might be leaving. Like, this team that they have is not going to last forever. And so I think that's maybe where some of the frustration with the Lions comes from, is like, man, like, we almost feel like we're having the rug pulled from underneath us, and that, you know, we were like, what, 8-2 at one point or something, and now maybe losing some steam. I don't know. It is tough. You could go either way. You could say the Lions, but I don't know. It would not shock me in like 3 years if this Lions team was just drastically different and they were like, maybe not a full-on rebuild, but trying to like load up again, if that makes sense. I mean, look at the Chiefs even. Like, the Chiefs were a team that I highlighted in my last video that, like, you know, they've been able to do a lot to keep some of the guys they have together, but even they've had their team turn over a lot. And like, this is probably the worst iteration of the Chiefs in the Mahomes era. And like, Chris Jones might not be coming back. They paid him a lot, but like, that's not, you know, he might not be there forever. Kelsey's getting older. That's just kind of how it is with the salary cap. That one was nearly intercepted. Call me crazy. I might say the Packers, which is crazy. But I will say this, though, to clarify. So I called the Packers the Vikings' older brother. More or less. It was kind of indirect, but I called them that. And I said, like, oh, I respect the Packers. And here's the thing I do. But last week was a nice reminder when they beat the Chiefs. It's like, you know what? No, they are our rivals. Like, maybe I should be a little meaner to the Packers. How do they keep getting away with this? How do they have a good quarterback again? They have had great quarterback play since, like, the early 90s. How do they keep doing it? 3rd and 20. Cowboys nearly picked it up. Eagles able to get a stop. We've been bouncing back and forth in between the game right now. That's okay, though. I'm loving these questions. We're having some riveting discussion here on this live stream. But to answer your question, Games, and that was a long answer, I might say the Packers. Call me crazy. But I could see the Lions falling off in a few years. And it could happen to the Packers, too. And the Packers have a ways to go. This is not to say that, like, oh, the Packers are here. They're set. But Pearchamp asks, who would you say are the top 5 wide receivers this season? You would say Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb, Debo, A.J. Brown, and Jamar Chase. And that is a pretty good top 5. I will have to stew on that, as that is a 60-yard field goal that is good. Brandon Aubrey, who has just been awesome this year, just drilled it. That was a missile from 60. There's no question. That was a no-doubter. That was a Shohei Ohtani-driven, dead center, 500-foot home run right there. That's a Pro Bowl kicker right there. Cowboys up 2 scores as we near the end of the first quarter. 10-0, Mike McCarthy pumping his fist. Top 5 wide receivers. Well, that is, I would say Tyreek for sure, right? And I'm not going to count Jefferson. He's been hurt, right? We'll use this as a chance to give some other players shout-outs. So I would say Tyreek for sure. I would say CeeDee Lamb and A.J. Brown for sure. Those 3 I feel like are set. And it's tough because there are so many good wide receivers in today's NFL. Like, putting together a top 5 is so difficult. I can't get mad at Debo because Debo has been playing out of his mind recently. And he's such a versatile weapon. He does more than just be a wide receiver. I cannot get mad at Debo. However, you could argue he's not even the best receiver on his team. I mean, Brandon Ayuk has been filthy. I would say just as a pure wide receiver, Brandon Ayuk is better. Now, Debo brings more to the table, and you could say he's a better player, but it's close. Ayuk is so good. I think you could still throw Diggs in there. He's been a monster again, right? How about Puka Nacua? And these are just guys I'm listing off right now. We'll throw in 2 more here, but you could say Puka Nacua, the production, and if you guys watched any of that Rams-Ravens game today, Puka had some sick catches. Like, he's just actually good. This isn't just McVay magic. And yeah, McVay, maximizes the talents of all of his players. Puka Nacua is just unironically like a top-tier receiver. The plays that he makes, he's had some spectacular catches. He's got a lot of size on him. He's good after the catch. Gets open a lot. I mean, you could throw Amon-Ra in there. I will put Chase in my top 5 for sure. He's been playing great recently, even with Jake Browning out there, who has looked pretty good. I think I'm still going to have Diggs at 5. It's tough. I don't know. Diggs is just so consistently great every year. And he's been elite again this year. Maybe not quite as eye-popping as years past, but even then, he's still up there for all the stats. He still looks great. And he's had to do it, kind of by himself. Not the greatest game today, going up against a good Chiefs secondary, but he doesn't have really anyone else to take attention away from him. Even like Tyreek Hill or A.J. Brown or Jamar Chase, where they have other good receivers around them. Or he doesn't play in an offense like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who, as great as Amon-Ra is, Ben Johnson maximizes his talents. And that's not a diss on Amon-Ra. I'd say he's probably top 10, but, or like Brandon Ayuk or Debo. It really just is, all Diggs and Allen making it happen. So I would say those are my top 5, but that's a solid list. I can't get mad at Debo one bit, to be honest. We're just in the golden age of wide receivers. There's so many good wide receivers. It's good for the game. It is. We've got some fun players to watch. Eric says, Brandon Aubrey was a free agent in my fantasy league. Well, I hope you go pick him up because he has been money this year. That man just drilled a 60-yarder. It's like 5 points for 50+. It should be 6 points for 60+, in my opinion, right? And then 7 points for 70+, if you dare to try that. I like the bonus. I feel like it maybe should just be 6 for 60+ at this point. 50-yarders are almost easy now. They are fun to get those 5 points from the kicker, though. We're also in a golden age of kickers. I mean, how about Jake Elliott a few weeks ago drilling that game-winning field goal, or game-tying, ended up helping them win the game in the rain, 61 yards outside. Just so much talent in today's league. That's going to do it for the first quarter. The Cowboys up 10. Philly, this is only their second drive, I believe, right? And they had a good drive going for their first one. They just fumbled the football. But we're in the books now after one in the books. I'm struggling to talk right now. Excuse me. I guess we can pull this up now since we're in a commercial break. We can look at some stats here, but I'm loving these questions. We got 8 people in here. It's a poppin' stream. Always good to have you guys in here. Hope you guys are having a good holiday season. No matter what you're celebrating, it really is that time of year for celebration. Or even if it's just New Year's, right? I mean, we've got that coming up too. A lot of great football this time of year. Bowl games, late season, NFL. Good time to be a football fan. If you want to talk about college football, horns up, baby. NDSU getting it done again. They go in and they take down South Dakota in Vermilion. I don't know if any of you guys have had a pulse on this. But so after NDSU beat Montana State last week, right? A lot of Bison fans driving back home to Fargo, trying to get tickets for this game against South Dakota. Vermilion's not too far away from Fargo. Bison fans love to travel. And they're trying to get access to tickets reserved for University of South Dakota boosters, right? The Coyote Club or the Howl Club, something like that. And it's password protected. But the Bison fans figured out that the password was just simply playoffs. And so then once they figured out the password, they started buying up those booster tickets. And it said there was no restrictions on the website. It was just password protected. I don't know, it wasn't clearly specified. But eventually USD found out and they took those tickets away from NDSU fans, and that caused this whole beef between these two schools who were already big rivals, playing the same conference, share a border. It's no NDSU SDSU, but it is a big rivalry, and North Dakota State continues their playoff run. Horns up, baby. They throttle USD, and they're going to be going out to Missoula next week to take on Montana, the Grizzlies. And I believe Montana, I got this wrong last week. Montana State was the 6th seed. Montana's the 2 seed. And the way they do seeding, it's just like 1 through 8, I think, for the FCS. It's not like there's a 1 seed on one side of the bracket, there's a 1 seed on the other. So they're going on to take on the number 2 ranked team in the country. Bison versus Grizz. I'm excited for this one. Go Bison. Bison. And also, their head coach announced that he is going to be leaving the program after this year and going to be taking a job as a linebackers coach for USC with Lincoln Riley. So the Bison are going to have to find a new head football coach after this year. 3rd and 2 for the Eagles. Oh, that was nearly an incredible play right there. Hurts tried to thread the needle to Devontae. Devontae nearly made a catch. Fingertips extended, full extension, diving, reaching out for it. Gets broken up. Cowboys defense gets a big stop. They get off the field. But yeah, for those that might not know, I've talked about this a lot. I am from Fargo. NDSU is like my other college team. Obviously, I live in Athens. I go to UGA, right? So go Dogs, but also go Bison. I grew up rooting for the Bison, going to a lot of Bison games. And that's how we say it up in North Dakota. Not Bison, Bison, right? And as my dad likes to say, when you get in really big trouble, you don't go to prison. You go to prison. As my linguistics teacher likes to say, everyone has a dialect. Oh, it's a fake! It's a fake! And it's caught! And that's a first down Philly. First down and more. They faked out the whole stadium. It's Zacchaeus with the first down. Trickery from Nick Sirianni. Oh, baby. How about that? It looked like that Dallas got another stop. Their defense was going to get off the field. And a brilliantly executed fake. Zacchaeus wide open, first down and more. And the Eagles are back in business on offense. How about it? This is what I like right here. A little divisional rivalry, pulling out all the tricks. They're fighting for playoff seeding. A lot of implications on the line. If Philly wins this game, they can feel really good about winning the division. Swift is swallowed up. Woo-hoo! Osa Odigizua, how do you do? Having a good year. And just wrecked that play. Not often you see a broken play like that on the ground with this Philly offensive line, with how good they are in the interior. Very rare that you see an interior lineman in the backfield like that against the Eagles. Puts them behind the 8 ball here, 2nd and 14. And this is a team that prides themselves in being ahead of the chains, setting up 3rd and 4th and short, and picking it up with the brotherly shove. Now they have to pass. But look at that. That's what they do. They don't need to pick up all those yards there. It's 3rd and 5. They're okay with that. They can get 4 yards here, come back, run the brotherly shove, get that first down. I don't have my volume turned up too loud right now on the TV. So, I mean, if Chris Collinsworth has already said that like 5 times and you're sick of hearing that, I get it. But it's true. That is how they do things, and it works. They win time of possession a lot. They sustain these long drives, and they get points out of them. They maximize their drives. It's a very analytics-based approach, and they've been one of the most successful teams in the league over the past few years doing it. 3rd and 5. Let's see if they throw short of the 6. No, Hurts is going to go deep. Oh, he nearly had AJ there. 4th and 5, and now maybe Dallas's defense gets off the field. They wanted it all right there. You don't see that too often, going for the deep shot. And A.J. Brown had it. It just went through his hands. I don't know if Curse got a hand on it or not. No. That was at least catchable for A.J. Brown. All right, so they're going to try a 52-yarder here with Jake Elliott. Very makeable. He has also been money this year. We've got a great kicker battle going on. And he nails it. Through the uprights, Eagles on the board, back to a 1-score game. And you know what? A positive result, getting points out of that drive after it looked like they were going to have to punt it away. The fake at least gets them 3. All right, 10-3. Good game on our hands so far. We got Pear Champ chiming in here, saying, who would you say has the best defense in the league? I would probably say Jets, Cowboys, and Browns are also good. Yeah, all great picks. I think you could throw the Ravens in there. They maybe haven't been quite, I already said this, maybe not quite as historically dominant looking as they were earlier on in the year. Also, we're going to switch to team stats here, but the Chiefs have kind of fallen off a little bit too. They've been looking really good. I might say the Jets, to be honest, especially with how much is put on their shoulders, like how great they need to be to even be competitive. I mean, they made absolute mincemeat out of this Texans offense today that has been otherwise pretty good. They have been dominant against most of the elite quarterbacks that they faced. They gave Josh Allen his worst game of the year. They gave Mahomes one of his worst games of the year. They gave Hurts one of his worst games of the year. They gave Herbert one of his worst games of the year. Right? Even like in a game where the Dolphins put up 34, that wasn't really the Dolphins offense being dominant against them. And they gave CJ Stroud maybe his worst game of the year. So while they haven't always been consistently dominant, like they're not like at the top of the league in like points per game allowed or anything like that. Where do they rank? Yeah, I mean, they're like down here. I'm not going to count, but you know, they're not like top 5 even in points per game. But just the pure talent on this defense combined with how well they do perform and just the role that they play on this team, I would probably say the Jets do have the best defense in the league. Or I mean, you could just say the 49ers, right? I mean, you know, maybe I'm even overthinking that. Maybe it is just the team that's allowing less than 16 a game. 49ers defense is pretty good. Yeah. The one thing that still gives me pause about the 49ers, and this isn't even like bad, their corners aren't the greatest. I like Charvarius Ward as much as the next guy. I think he's a good player. But he's not quite that high-end CB1, you know. He's had some great performances. But him and Lenoir, they're not like this fearsome shutdown duo, you know. But they do a good job. And when your front seven is just as ridiculous as this Niners front seven is, it doesn't particularly matter. But yeah, their secondary isn't the best. It is good, but Fred Warner, Dre Greenlaw. I don't know if you guys saw that pick that Fred Warner had today. I mean, I would love to go back and watch the all 22 of that because the range that he showed there was incredible. To be able to get to that ball, he had to hustle his butt over there to pick that ball off. And ever since they've added Chase Young, I mean, their pass rush has just taken a leap to another level. Their defensive line is unfair. That's a good question. I like that. I would say Jets or 49ers. Also, like I've kind of been talking about, look at the Vikings right here for points per game allowed. They're right there, man. This Vikings defense, it is evolved from early in the year. I was like, oh, they're punching above their weight. They're a lot better than I thought, too. I'm sorry, man. I'm just going to go out and say it. This Vikings defense is really good. And I think that's what bugs me the most. Like, I can't be too upset that the Vikings are 7-6 right now, considering all the injuries they've suffered. Kirk going down, Jefferson going down, the silly fumbles and just losing games in that way, right? To be in this spot after starting 0-3 is fantastic. But man, this defense is so good, and we let them down. Like, we've been letting them down at times. They've been playing so well. This defense is legitimately probably one of the 10 best units in the league. And you look at the roster, and it's not like they have a bunch of big names. Also, there's that seam ball to the tight end. That's a Dak Prescott classic right there. No one throws more seam routes to tight ends than Dak Prescott. Jake Ferguson has been eating on those this year. And we might be seeing a few of those against this Eagles defense. They might pick on the safeties and linebackers. Boom, right there. I like the comp to Jason Witten right there from Chris Collinsworth. I mean, this is not to say Ferguson is better than Jason Witten. They are kind of different players. Ferguson seems to have a bit more juice as a vertical threat. Of course, Witten was just such a great blocker, right? Just a fundamentally sound classic tight end. And that is not good right there for Philly. They're showing Reed Blankenship shaken up right now. I think that's Reed Blankenship. This is a team that cannot afford to lose anyone in their secondary, especially down the middle. And ooh, helmet to helmet right there. I don't love Ferguson leading with the crown of his helmet right there. Not a big fan of that. But that is not good for this Philly D. They're showing Byard now. I mean, Byard they acquired in a trade, and he's been playing a decent amount. He did make some big plays in that Chiefs win. He's not quite the player he once was, but fresh set of downs for the Cowboys. They're going to run again. They've been running a decent amount. But with this Vikings defense, like Danielle Hunter is a superstar, obviously, right? Up there and for leading the league in sacks. I don't think he's leading, but he's right there. Harrison Smith is a big name. We all know him. But I would argue he's like the third best safety on this team. Cam Bynum and Josh Metellus have been playing at Pro Bowl levels this year. Oh, I mean, I love these safeties. And Harrison Smith has still been good. He's also maybe not quite the player he once was, but he's still good. Ivan Pace. I tweeted out second coming of Ray Lewis. I mean, obviously not, but holy smokes was he good today. Prescott will just check it down there and maybe get the first down. But and they're such a well-coached unit. I mean, Brian Flores has just got them playing some good ball right now. So one of the better units. I will not call them the best, though. I mean, I will be honest. They are not the best defense in the league, but they're up there. They are like the turnaround has been unbelievable from being one of the worst in the league last year. Gabe says, I have a cat on my lap. Let's go. What cat? What kind of cat? As I told you a few days ago, I'm in the market for a cat potentially once I move out to Atlanta when that day comes. I'm intrigued by the prospect of having a cat. But yes, tell me about the cat on your lap here as the Cowboys keep on moving the ball. Another run. Dak's cadence is tough, Oscar. He texted that in the group chat here. I might try and actually respond that in the chat right now, but I'm busy streaming, But, I mean, yeah, the here we go, right? I feel like that's really taken off this year. Almost become like a meme of sorts. Maybe if you don't like the Cowboys, it's annoying, and I get that, but I love a good iconic cadence, right? You've got Aaron Rodgers, Green 18, and Peyton Manning's Omaha. Like, there's some great cadences up in there. The Green 18, man. Oh, especially when he was on the Packers. Prime Aaron Rodgers hitting you with the Green 18. And when he tried to get you to jump off sides, the Green 18's hot! And he'd get you to jump. It's like, oh, crap. He's putting the ball up, and they're getting 40 yards right here. Oh. CeeDee Lamb with the run right there, though. Getting him the ball in many different ways. Play clock running down. Hits him with the here we go. Another big run for Tony Pollard. And defense against the run was like maybe the big concern for the Eagles last year. That's kind of what got him in their, was it 2 or 3 losses last season? But they got hit a lot against the run. Jordan Davis got hurt, so then they went out and got like big Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. Little Madden 20 franchise moment right there. Go get Ndamukong Suh and put him in at D-tackle. If you know, you know. But then they get Jordan Davis back. They draft Jalen Carter. And it hasn't been as big of a problem this year, but they're getting hit hard on the ground right now. Dallas is going to run again, and I don't blame them. Pollard won't get the first down, but a few more yards. It's 3rd and short. They're knocking on the door of scoring. They could be looking to go up 17-3 right now. And Philly's just barely had the ball. I mean, I'm genuinely curious. What is the time of possession right now? I won't get it spoiled by doing this. Maybe this is what I need to do. I don't know, man. I'm fine with just bouncing between tabs. But look at that. Dallas is like killing them in time of possession. They're like doubling them up. Philly has not had the ball that much. They're going to do another QB sneak on 3rd and short. Dak gets it again. Oh, and there are Eagles haters right now that are cackling at the sight of that. Parachamp, I see your question. I'll get to that here in a sec. And we've got one from Caden, too. With a little Madden reference. So Parachamp asks, which team would you say has been the most disappointing and most surprising, neglecting injuries? You would say the Bills have been fairly disappointing and the Rams have been pretty surprising. And I don't want to be lame and copy your answer, but I might. I'll have to rack my brain here as I watch this 1st and goal. Pollard is at the doorstep and he's just short. Inches away. We'll see if they maybe just punch it in with a QB sneak here. But Dallas is ever so close to going up 17-3 potentially. And yeah, he is down. He did not get it. Good call by the ref right there. They're going to take Pollard out. They're taking Lamb out too. Are they just going to bring in a heavy package and run it? Mike McCarthy not messing around. Oh, yeah, look at that. Is that Hunter Lupke in there too? Speaking of Bison. Fullback? Yeah, there he is. Give it to Lupke. Come on. Give it to him. Play action. Dak's going to throw it, and it's broken up. Good play, Nick Morrow. All right, 3rd and goal. Interesting choice to pass it there. I might have just ran the ball. If it works, you're a genius, though. Play action, I get it. You're trying to pick on these Eagles linebackers, but a good play right there. Didn't get there too early. Clean play, right? Perfect timing, just knocks the ball out. And now here we go. Now are they going to try it? They're just going to give it up the middle. I don't know that he got it. I don't think he did. He is short. Go for it. Go for it. Oh. I don't know if he got it. He might have got it. He might have broke the plane. Can you have conclusive evidence to overturn that? They are going to challenge it. We've also got Zing in here. Welcome to the stream, Zing, saying, Red Bar is watching. You're on notice. Are you going to apologize to him? I'm going to be 100% honest, man. I'm not familiar with who Red Bar is. If I inadvertently disrespected Red Bar, I would like to apologize, but you might have to elaborate on that. I am not quite familiar with your game right here. But welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing well. And Caden says, Doctor, how does it feel knowing your sister is ranked higher than you in the legacy standings? You know, Emily Tionkson has been coaching the Ravens pretty well so far. Little inside joke there in Madden. We always have Coach Eric Tionkson, right? I always name my coach me. That is my government name. Whatever. That's the doctor's name. I mean, you can call me whatever you want, to be honest. But sometimes as a response, Caden likes to make his coach a family member of mine. So he made my grandma last time we did this, and now he made my sister. And according to the Madden Legacy score, she's doing a better job coaching the Ravens than I am the Giants right now. So tough look for the brand. The doctor getting out-coached by his sister, who is an actual doctor going to med school. More of a doctor than I am, that's for sure. But Red Bar is watching. I'm scared, man. Should I be, like, terrified? Is Red Bar going to run up on me? But we'll see if this call gets overturned or not. It looked close. I don't know if you can get conclusive evidence out of that. Maybe. It looked like he broke the plane. Might be a touchdown. I feel bad. I actually don't know who 23 on the Cowboys is. I'm going to go look that up real quick. It's their other back. It's not Deuce. Okay, Rico Dowdle. I've definitely seen that name before. And he actually leads them in carries right now, so I should familiarize myself. Give it to Hunter Lupke. Come on. If it's 4th and short, just give it to Lupke. Let the Bison trample on in. We'll see. But, okay, well, that's cool. I think I know the result of the play. I don't even care at this point. I'm just going to have to really try and force myself to not look. It's a shame that YouTube TV is so far behind, but that's just how it be, you know? But I guess we can just talk about how the Cowboys are up, pending the extra point. Going to be going up 14 now. And they've been looking pretty good on offense. They're looking good. I'm telling you, the gap between the Cowboys and Eagles is minuscule. They split last year too, and granted, the QBs were different at times. Yep, there's the call right there. Touchdown Cowboys, right? But last year, the Eagles won the game that the Cowboys didn't have Dak, and the Cowboys won the game that the Eagles didn't have Hurts. Both games were close, and the teams were very close in the standings. I genuinely think that these teams are like neck and neck. I might say Dallas is the second best team in the conference, to be honest. I would probably put them over Philly, and I think what we're seeing on the field right now might justify that. There is a lot of game left, though. Philly does have a path back, right? The easiest way they can tie it up, get a decent length touchdown drive right here, 10-17. They will get the ball to start the second half. There is a path back for them to tie this up. But we'll see if they can get points here on this next drive. This is where things start to get interesting. This Philly team hasn't really had to play from behind too much. They've played a lot of close games, but usually it's close games that they are either right there, they're clinging to the lead, right? It's not like they've had to mount these furious comebacks. They've had to keep pace with teams at times, but they really over the past few years have not played from behind. So this is a big test here for Philly. Can they come back from down 2 touchdowns? There is a lot of time left, but how will they respond being in a spot like this on the road against your divisional rival? Man, Dallas, we need to take Dallas seriously. People can say, oh, they haven't beaten a good team. Well, they might be about to. And they played Philly really close last time. I would love to see them get another shot at the Niners. I honestly think that's my dream NFC Championship game matchup. Although Niners-Eagles would be fun again just because of all the bad blood between those two teams. Could we just get a round robin of these 3 teams for the NFC playoffs? Come on. Let's be honest. I'm a fan of an NFC team. These are clearly the 3 best teams in the NFC. Let's just agree to do a round robin. Winner of the round robin goes to the Super Bowl. All right. Show me what you got, Jalen. We'll give it to Gainwell to start off. Good run right there. You know what? I like it. They're not panicking. They're down 14, but they're going to run the ball to start things off. This is the Eagles, for crying out loud. We're built through the trenches. We run the ball, right? I'm Nick Sirianni, and I treat every Sunday like it's an episode of The Sopranos. We're going to assert our dominance physically. Our security guard is going to get in the face of players. The Eagles are the ultimate heel. You can say what you want about Nick Sirianni. I'm not like a Nick Sirianni lover by any means, but man, does he know how to play the heel well. He does. It's good for the game. It is. It's entertaining. He does embrace the role of being a villain, and he is the perfect coach for Philly. Fresh set of downs. Near midfield already. They're going to change things up here. It is interesting, too. I say that, they're not getting away from the run. That has kind of been the criticism of Philly a little bit. Last week, a lot of people kind of criticized the Eagles for not running the ball a whole lot. That a lot of people have been coming at Brian Johnson, their new OC. They had Shane Steichen last year. Johnson steps in, fills the role. And no, Johnson hasn't been Steichen. Steichen has just been otherworldly. And even though the Colts lost today, he's just done such a good job over in Indianapolis, and he did such a good job with the Eagles. So, yeah, some regression was expected. But I don't think Brian Johnson's been horrible. The Eagles have still had an explosive offense, still one of the better units in the league, and they're still winning games. But they did not run the ball a lot last week. Granted, they fell behind so much you can't, but the game was close for a while. So I get it. I get some of their frustrations with that. You know me, I do love running the ball. They're going to run it again. 3 straight runs here. Look at that. They're down 14. 3 straight runs to start off the drive. Another first down. They're moving it pretty well on the ground. They're showing Dan Quinn right now. You were talking about a good coordinator. Dan Quinn has done a bang-up job. He definitely does seem to be better served as a defensive coordinator than a head coach. He did have a good run with the Falcons, but things fell off at the end. But he's found a nice home here in Dallas. People talking about maybe wanting to hire him away as a coach. I don't know. I know coordinators are always looking for that step up, and I get it. But I feel like this is just the perfect spot for him. Defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Another run. Designed run with Hurts, who slides. He does get hit a little bit at the end. They're not going to flag it. He looked like he kind of gave himself up there. But, yeah, it's a close play. You got to be careful, though, if you're Dallas, right? It's tough. You don't know that he's going to let up. Good job to not lead with the head there, right? No head-to-head contact, so I get no flag. Loss of a yard, though. Hurts giving himself up behind the line of scrimmage. You do got to protect your body as the quarterback. But another run. I feel like they got to go pass here now, right? Now 2nd and 11. 4 straight runs, I think. Yep. He's got a clean pocket. Down the field, A.J. Brown. He catches that one. Beautiful work by A.J. Brown. Going up against Stephon Gilmore. Pretty good coverage, but Brown just knew where the ball was going to be. Yeah, great adjustment, great catch. Hurts puts it in a great spot where only he can get it. That's just a good throw and catch. There's not much more you can do there if you're Stephon Gilmore. Now they're going to go quick. There's Goddard, but a great tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Wow. Was that Deron Bland who made that tackle? Yeah, what a good play by Deron Bland. Going up against Dallas Goedert, a big tight end. Open field tackle behind the line. The Eagles tried to go quick, catch Dallas napping. And he makes a play. And you know me, I love those corners that can tackle. And 2-minute warning. All right, Eagles moving the ball here. And they have been moving the ball pretty well. If you look at total yards, it's about even. It's really just the turnover and then settling for 3 is what's hurt them so far. And that was kind of the story of the first half of their game against the 49ers last week, too. First half, they were moving the ball pretty well. First few drives, defensively for the Eagles, the pass rush was just dominating. And I remember watching that first few drives, and it's like, oh, man, like Purdy looks lost against this pass rush. But eventually, Shanahan figured things out. They started picking on those linebackers, and it was just a romp. I also did not mean to click on this. I meant to click on this. But, I mean, if you look at the win probability chart, it does a good job of really telling the story of the game. Like, for a while, it looked like the Eagles... Okay. That scared me so much. I don't know if you guys heard that. It automatically goes to full volume. And I've got my computer turned up right now. I guess I can turn it down. I don't need it up, but it kind of does a good job of telling the story of the game. Eagles were in a good spot for a while, and then San Francisco just turned it on and throttled them second half. I mean, yeah. Yeah. But, I mean, they still got 333 yards of offense. It's not like they were just completely stymied. 19 points isn't a super high total, but what really set the tone early, the Niners defense did such a good job of limiting those drives, forcing them to kick field goals early on. 2 great drives for the Eagles, but they both end in 3. As soon as the Niners offense figures it out, they take the lead on a touchdown. Then they go up 8, and then it was a romp from there. So, you know, might this settling for 3 here by the Eagles, and I say settling for 3, like it was a long kick that they had to go for. It's not like they had a super long drive, but it was the fumble in good position and then a field goal. Now they've got another good drive going, but they just haven't gotten a lot out of them so far. You'd think for how this team is built, they'd be a little bit better at maximizing their drives. It just hasn't happened today so far. And defensively, touchdown, long field, well, I say long field goal drive, 13 plays, not too long distance-wise, and then touchdown. Dallas is doing their thing on offense right now. The Cowboys have looked like the better team, but Philly is there. Let's see what they have coming out of the 2-minute warning. Prescott's completion percentage isn't the greatest right now. It's a little over 50%. 105 and a tutty. CeeDee Lamb on pace for another 100-yard game. But let's see. Let's see what the Eagles have here. Can they get a touchdown? That might make things interesting. I think at halftime we'll run through some of the other games we haven't talked about yet on this Sunday slate. Here comes the pass rush. Parsons closing in, and it's a sack. Micah Parsons getting home. First time we've called his name today. One of the best in the business. And there was a decent amount of time for Hurts back there. He had a fairly clean pocket for a while. Watching this battle here between Lane Johnson and Micah Parsons. Decent job. Parsons got some good push on Johnson. But Hurts was there for a while. Doesn't have like the most space to maybe step up in the pocket necessarily. But No one got open downfield. You do have to chalk some of that up to Dallas' secondary. Good job by the corners to hold up there in coverage. That was one of the big questions coming into this game, was how can this man-heavy scheme hold up against these Eagles wide receivers? And Philly has hit him for a few big plays, but that was a big result right there. It makes it 3rd and 18. And if they settle for another field goal, remember that sack by Micah Parsons. That is what makes this Cowboys defense so special. You know what? Yeah, sometimes they do get beat for big plays. Sometimes they do let up a lot of points. But they've just got so much star power. They can make these big plays that can just completely shift a game. Here comes the blitz. Free rusher batted at the line and incomplete. And I think they are going to have to settle for 3. Certainly within Jake Elliott's range, but it's 4th and 18. And you know what? Dallas is going to get the ball back here with 2 timeouts and a decent amount of time left. They might be able to steal some points before halftime. That is a big sequence right there for the Cowboys. And again, another good Eagles drive that just doesn't quite get to the finish line. They bring the blitz, free rusher. Hurts had to get the ball out quick. Well done by Dan Quinn. 44-yard attempt for Elliott. He should make this. Would make it an 11-point game. And he got it. All right, 11-point game. Still a 2-score game here now. That is important. It's a 2-score game, and Philly doesn't have like the quote-unquote possession advantage now. Because Dallas gets a possession here. Philly will get the ball to start the second half, but Philly's going to need some stops if they want to win this game. I don't know. How are you guys feeling right now in chat? For those that have been following along with this game. Dallas is looking pretty good right now. But I guess we can get started here on looking at some of the other games around the league. And we can talk more about the Vikings if you guys really want me to, because I've got some words to say about this result. But we got to give some other teams some love. We covered this game. We'll start with Colts-Bengals. A sneaky important game for both teams. Cincy. I know A.J. McCarron came in. Browning kind of got hurt, I think. But we'll see about his status. But the Bengals are alive and well. And guess who they play next week? Of course, right? The Bengals are playing their best football of the season now. And they host the Minnesota Vikings on Saturday. Oh, my gosh. You cannot make this up, man. We're going to have Jake Browning versus probably Nick Mullins at this point. Oh, geez, Louise. I might pick the Bengals to win that game, but that's another conversation. Jamar Chase, a quiet game after a superhero performance against the Jags in their Monday night miracle win. But it was Chase Brown with a big play, T. Higgins with a few big catches. He also had a nice touchdown catch that got called back because, maybe he committed some pass interference, but whatever. But the running game is going a little bit with Joe Mixon and Chase Brown. The skill players look really good right now for Cincy. And I've been a little hard on Zach Taylor at times on this channel, but Zach Taylor has done a good job coaching this year with Burrow's injuries and all that turmoil that it's brought. And Browning is playing some good football right now. The Bengals are very much alive in the playoff race. They really dug themselves in a bad hole, and they do have a few divisional losses, which might hurt them with tiebreakers. But that win against the Colts is a big one because now they've got the head-to-head over them. They're tied on record. And no disrespect to the Colts because they've been a good team this year, right? They're still a game above 500. But they're one of those teams that, like, you see them at 7-6, and they were 7-5 going into this game. 2 games above 500. They're still second in their division. And it's just like, looking at their team, it's like, how are they doing this exactly? I mean, the short answer is Shane Steichen. And their defense has been underrated. It's been so much better than I thought it would be. Kwity Paye has taken a step forward. DeForest Buckner is still elite. Zaire Franklin is a dog. Kenny Moore is still a good corner. Julian Blackman is a playmaker, right? But it's not like this insanely talented team. They're in the playoff race. I don't know if they'll make it. Looking at their schedule. I don't know. They've got a decent looking schedule. That game against Houston might decide. That might be a play-in game, honestly, their game against Houston. That'll be a fun one. And they did beat Houston earlier on in the year, although Houston, different team then. We'll see about C.J. Stroud, though. All right, let's see if the Cowboys can maybe steal some points here before halftime. Quick swing out to Pollard, who gets out of bounds. That'll stop the clock. They're showing the NFC playoff picture right now up on the screen. Hey, the Vikings are there. I just don't know that they stay there. We'll see. It is at least fun that we're still relevant at this time of year, though, I will say. We could just be like the Panthers and have one win and not have our first-round pick. It definitely could be worse. Dak ripped one right there. Caught out of bounds, but he went backwards, so they're going to keep running the clock. They don't have to take a timeout here. It wasn't that big of a gain. It does move the chains, but they can get to the line a lot quicker, save those timeouts. You want to save one for the field goal attempt, ideally, if it comes to that. Dak is going to go down. Oh, that's a big sack by Hassan Reddick. Now they have to burn a timeout. That was huge. There's that Philly pass rush making a play where they need it. Those little plays add up. That's why you need playmakers on defense. Man, look at how quick he got off the ball right there. Quickly beat his man and finishes the job and gets a sack. 2nd and 16 now. Prescott stepping up. He has a clean pocket this time. There's CD. Is he going to get out of bounds? He will. So it'll be 3rd down and decent. Clock does stop. That almost helps Philly now, though, too, because if they don't get it, Philly does have all 3 of their timeouts, and maybe they could try and steal some more points before halftime. Maybe they could get it back to a one-score game and then get the ball to start the second half. That Hassan Reddick sack is a game changer. Massive. Eagles showing blitz. They won't bring it. Prescott with time down towards the sideline. 1st down. Brandon Cooks. Flag does fly. We'll check the laundry here. But for the moment, it's a big 1st down for the Cowboys. And getting out of bounds stops that clock. They're conversing here. Tirico is suggesting a face mask maybe. We'll see about that. Oh. All right, so 2 penalties on the same guy, both on the defense. PI and face mask. So they'll take the face mask, right? Because that'll be added on after the play. Is that Keely Ringo? Another one of those Philadelphia, Georgia players, that pipeline. So I guess they got him for the face mask there. Didn't look like much on the PI department, but wait. Wow, so they get both. They get 2 penalties for the price of 1 there. So they'll get the pass interference, which they'll accept. And then they also get the 15 yards from the face mask. That's wild. Also, I'm going to scroll up because I see that what Dak Prescott's about to do. And that means they're probably going to have to burn a timeout here, and they do. Man, so Dallas is now getting a little bit closer. They're pretty much in field goal range. They are. I mean, look at Brandon Aubrey drilling kicks. Prescott will get 4 more. Here's when they'll burn the timeout. 36 seconds left. Prime real estate, though, for the Cowboys. They should get at least some. They could get it back to a 14-point game, 2-touchdown game, essentially get those 3 points back, more or less undo that Eagles field goal. Good response from the Cowboys after that Reddick sack. That some lesser teams, that Reddick sack might have sunk them, and they wouldn't have been able to recover from that. But Dallas continues to move the ball. They're going to be on pace for like 400-plus yards on offense. I mean, they're at 216 right now before halftime. And if you've been watching these streams, you'd know Philly's been outgained by at least 90-plus yards in, I believe, their last 5 games now. And they're getting outgained by, actually, I don't think it's quite 90-plus, but they are getting outgained again. It is wild, that's for sure. You know, this Eagles defense, that narrative has kind of shifted from, oh, they're not as good as they were last year to, honestly, they're just not that great, to be honest. They have not been that great this year. There's just something missing. They've lost some players. They've dealt with injuries. Some of their guys are getting older. And believe it or not, I honestly think Jonathan Gannon has some of that impact too. People were just crucifying him. Eagles fans hated him. Players hated him. Said he was so bad. And like, yeah, it's easy to dunk on him with the Cardinals and the shoo. But you can't deny that, like, losing a coordinator, no matter who it is, like, that is probably going to have some impact. And sure enough, like, they have not looked as good on that side of the ball. There are people saying they're going to be better on defense this year because of that. I don't know, man. They have not been. That is an underrated aspect of, you know, teams is like, if your coordinators are good, you might lose them. Hey, I'm terrified that the Vikings might lose their defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, with the bang-up job that he's done. Maybe he gets another shot to be a head coach. That would sure stink for us, right? Yeah. Our defense would definitely be worse without Brian Flores. But we'll see. There are some people that were like, let's just hire Brian Flores as our head coach and demote KOC. And it's like, I don't know about that. So Reed Blankenship is in concussion protocol being looked at right now after that helmet-to-helmet shot. You never like seeing that. 2nd and 6 for Dallas. What do they have here? I didn't see that. I saw my screen move. I didn't see what it was. Prescott going to go deep. It's caught near the goal line. Down to the 1. Oh, it's Brandon Cooks. Mike McCarthy is like running on the field to call timeout now. Oh, can Dallas get a touchdown? Forget undoing the 3. Can they get 6 here? Let's watch Brandon Cooks work here. So it's CeeDee Lamb in the slot. Little in-breaking route takes away the attention. Brandon Cooks finds the opening, and Dak knew it the whole way. Lets it rip. Cooks, nice job to jump and make that catch. Yeah, he's down before he scores. Good. Refs have been good with their spots so far. 1st and goal from like the 1. Dallas on the verge of going up big here at halftime. All right. Do they run it? Nah, they're going to go back into shotgun. You got to pass it right with no timeouts. Dak throwing the fade to Cooks. Not quite there. Cooks tried to one-hand it. Dak maybe wanted him to run a little bit further out. I get that. Good coverage, though. I think that was Keeley, right? Go Dogs. Good coverage by Keeley Ringo. Only takes like 2 seconds off the clock. I mean, time will not be an issue here unless they take a sack. You cannot take a sack whatsoever. Look at CeeDee in the slot here going up against Keeley. Might they go his way? Nope. Little pick play. Easy for Gallup. Touchdown, Cowboys. And just like that, they steal some more points before halftime. Wow. Oh, now there's a flag down. Hold up. Okay, no foul. And so Chris Collinsworth was saying you can set a pick play within like 1 yard or something. Gallup with the little shrug. And Dallas finishes another drive with a touchdown. And that has been the difference. Is they have just gone down the field and scored touchdowns. It's 24-6 now. Dallas up big. And they hit a few big plays down the middle of the field. Dak is fired up, thumping his chest. The Cowboys are rocking and rolling right now. And ladies and gentlemen, might this be a Dak Prescott MVP statement game? I mean, let's have that conversation. Let's talk about it. There's still a lot of game left. I mean, hey, Philly could come back and win for all we know. I'm not even counting out the Eagles yet, but Dallas is looking good again right now. They've already topped their point total from their last game against the Eagles. Dak Prescott having himself a game again. Masterful on that last drive. CeeDee Lamb having himself a game again. And I'm telling you, this team is a Super Bowl caliber team. They can play with anyone, yes, even the 49ers. I would love to see them get another shot at the 49ers. Maybe the 49ers beat them again. I get that, right? San Francisco just has their number. They own them. They killed them when they played earlier on in the year. But I think it's also important to note, like, outside of that most recent blowout, the other recent Cowboys-Niners games have been close, have they not? Like, the playoff games, although they've been, like, embarrassing endings for the Cowboys, right? With, like, Zeke under center and stuff. Like, this was a 7-point game, right? Dallas had a chance to go and tie it up at the end. This was a 6-point game. Dallas had a chance to go win it. It's not like they've been killing them every year. Outside of this game, they've both been close. I still would say San Francisco's the better team, and if it was in San Francisco, I'd probably pick them. But, yeah, I feel I feel better and better about Dallas being the second best team in this conference. They are kind of showing it right now. But again, Eagles do get the ball back. They have 3 timeouts in 20 seconds. They're going to try here. I don't blame them, right? Try and get something going maybe. But their defense has been getting worked. And they're going to run it up the middle of Swift. Not bad. Swift is going to try and cut it to the outside. Another good tackle by Deron Bland. I was not familiar with your tackling game, sir. Deron Bland with a few impressive open field tackles in this one so far. They'll call timeout here with 13 seconds left. They get a decent chunk. They'll put 14 back up on the clock. Swift tried to cut it outside and get to the edge, maybe get out of bounds, get a few more yards. He just couldn't quite escape Bland. And now Philly's got to go to the air, right? They tried to maybe catch Dallas by surprise there, like, we got 3 timeouts. We can try and pull a fast one, run a draw on them. Maybe we can pop one for like 30 yards here. I would say field goal target is like, the 40-yard line? Dallas is 40. Maybe a 57-yarder for Elliott indoors. That's where you want to try and get to. Hurts will rifle it. Did Brown catch that? Toe drag swag. He did. Out of bounds, 9 seconds left. You for sure have time for one play. You could maybe try 2 quick hitters, but man, you'd be getting greedy and risky. And yeah, he dragged that toe. Did he? Oh, no, his foot is out. That's out of bounds. That's no catch. All right, just kidding. I don't think that's going to stand, right? They're going to go review that. CeeDee Lamb is like, whoa, what? Yeah, okay, there we go. Look at, Dallas has 247 yards. They're on pace for almost 500 yards of offense. 17 first downs, winning the time of possession battle, no turnovers. It has been a Dallas masterclass so far, really. Ten seconds. 3rd and 4. If Philly doesn't get it, I mean, it's not going to matter. They'll just punt it away. It's not like Dallas is going to be able to do anything. They'll run another draw. Gainwell's going to get the first. Now there's 4, 3, 2, 1. Are they just going to let it tick down? They will. All right. First half in the books. Here come the Cowboys, 24-6 over the Eagles. Dominant performance here in the first half. Dak Prescott dialed in. The running game going for Dallas, which has also been an encouraging sign between Pollard and Dowdle. Turpin had that big carry. I mean, they've almost got 100 rushing yards here in the first half. And that last touchdown drive in particular, just Dallas flexing their muscles on offense. They are showing that they have the advantage in the offense versus defense battle right now. And defensively, they've held up really well against Philly, limiting those drives. They've not gotten burnt by a big play through the air yet. Philly's hit a few chunk plays, but none of those big highlight reel plays yet. And, I mean, the running attack has been fine, but now down 24-6, you have to kind of go away from the running game, at least a little bit. So it's not that it hasn't been working, but you have to change your approach a little bit here at halftime. Eagles will get the ball to start the second half. I'm sure, as all teams do, they're going to script up some plays for their opening drive, and I'm curious to see how they're going to come out here. We're going to talk some more Bengals-Colts. First, I'm going to step away. I got to fill up my water, so I'm going to take a quick break, step back. But I promise you guys, I will be right back. First, you know what? No, I'll answer this Pear Champ comment here first, and then I'll step away to fill up my water. But he says, I don't get why Philly doesn't try a Hail Mary at the end of the half. I mean, I get it, right? You're down that much. You might just want to try something. They were pretty far away. That would have been a lot to ask out of Jalen Hurts' arm to one, hey, line, you got to block long enough for us to get the ball downfield. And two, like, this is not even Jalen Hurts' disrespect, but it's not like he has the strongest arm, so that would be asking him to really push his arm to the limit. I totally get you could have tried it, though, right? I mean, worst thing that happens is you, like, turn the ball over and they return it for a score, but the odds of that happening are pretty low, I would say. So it was a conversation they could have had, or maybe they try, like, another play, they, like, pitch it around or something, but they just decided to lick their wounds and go into the locker room, which I also understand. You do get the ball to start the second half. But we'll see. But Dallas is up big right now. We'll talk some more Colts-Bengals amongst the other Sunday games. But first, take a quick break. I'll be right back. You guys make yourselves comfortable because we've got a lot to talk about. See, told you it wouldn't be that long. We're back. Needed to quench my thirst there. Of course, talking a lot does wonders to drying out your mouth. I guess I said we'd talk more about Colts-Bengals. I didn't watch too much of this game. I had Red Zone on one screen, and I had the Falcons-Bucks game on the other. So I saw bits and pieces of this, and I was really locked in for both the Falcons game and the Vikings game. I guess I kind of said my piece. I don't know. The Bengals are very much alive in the playoff race. So are the Colts, but this was a bad loss for them. They've just kind of been doing what they can. And again, Minshew has just been a problem at times for them. Not like he's been awful, but turnovers, a few sacks taken today. I am excited to see this team with Anthony Richardson. That's what I'll say. I would love to see a full healthy season from Richardson next year in this Colts team because I think that could be a lot of fun. And also, let's respect Michael Pittman as a legit wide receiver one. That's my takeaways from that game. Moving on. Jaguars-Browns. Oh, the Jaguars. Are the Jaguars inching towards the bad place? Maybe there should be a medium place for the Jaguars. Oh, man. What could have been their Monday night game against the Bengals, right? Playing for the number 1 seed. And the vibes were great early. Oh, the Jaguars were looking good. Christian Kirk does get hurt, but it's like, oh, they're still making plays. Their defense has been great. And then Lawrence gets hurt, and it looks bad, man. It looks real bad. C.J. Beathard comes in, but it looks like the Jaguars still might pull this one out. I mean, they're sitting up at 28-21, a fun little back and forth game as we go into the fourth quarter. But then the Bengals pull it out and win in overtime, and the Jaguars go from looking like they might get the 1 seed in the middle of this game. If you're watching this game, it's like, wow, the Jaguars might move into the 1 seed. To now back-to-back losses, falling to the Browns in a tough one. I'm shocked that Trevor played, to be honest. 50 pass attempts for him is wild. 3 touchdowns, but also 3 picks. Took 4 sacks. Definitely not his sharpest game on the year, that's for sure. I know, 50, right? Like, they had bro air the ball out. Like, yeah. And they still gave ETN the ball some, but this was like prime Phillip Rivers trying to win MVP away from Andrew Luck. Big Phil slinging it on the Bengals, The problem was they don't have Julio to cook them every time. But, the Jaguars threw the ball a lot. And they made it a close game. This is a little bit closer than the final score would indicate. I would say that the Browns controlled this one for the majority of it. Lawrence played injured, and I thought he did fine. And we actually talked about this a little bit, Caden. Like, maybe this wasn't the best idea, but I get the Jaguars' rationale. With Houston breathing down on their necks, right, they're trying to lock up this division. They didn't need this game, but, man, it would have been nice to have. Now they're 8-5, which is still a very good record, right? They're in a good spot. They'll make the playoffs, but I just feel like the Jaguars are a team that in a different world could be even better because their defense was so strong early on in the year, and then, it's come back to earth a little bit and maybe been closer to what a lot of people projected them to be at. I was really high on their defense. I didn't think they'd be this good as, how they were playing early on in the year. But then they've come back a little bit. And then the offense finally looked like it was turning it on after that Niners game. Great game on the offense. Great game by the offense. And great game by the offense before Trevor got hurt. And still, they're putting up more points now. It seems like they're moving the ball better, but it just feels like this team never fully realized its full potential, and they're running out of time now, dealing with injuries, and maybe they won't be quite as good as I thought they could have been. I won't take the L on the Jaguars because they're still 8-5. They're probably going to win the division and make the playoffs, and once you get in, it's anyone's game, and especially with how chaotic this year has been. But this team just doesn't feel quite as good as I thought they could have been. That's what I'll say. And it's a shame. It is. I was really high on this team. You guys know that. But they've got a tough test against the Ravens. That's the next week's Sunday night game. That should be a good one. I'm hoping Trevor is maybe a little more healthy for that one. I would love to see a little rematch of last year's epic, the nice comeback by the Jaguars that started things off. That's when it was like, oh, here come the Jags a little bit. So I'd love to see that. I would love to see a good game here next Sunday night. Then they got the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Titans. All very winnable games. But they've got to get it done. But we'll see. I would say maybe 11 wins for the Jaguars is the forecast. Should be enough to win the division. As for the Browns, how about Joe Flacco slinging the rock? 3 touchdowns for Joe Flacco in the year 2023. Folks, it's almost 2024. And Joe Flacco is slinging the pigskin. He was great today. He was. How about the Browns getting the win? They continue to make it happen. David Njoku was great. He's a Pro Bowler in my opinion. I might do a Pro Bowl stream at some point or I put together the real Pro Bowl team, the Dr. Pigskin All-Star squad, I think David Njoku would make the cut. And they just, I don't know. Kevin Stefanski was in his bag a little bit. I like the direct snap to Kareem Hunt to punch it in near the goal line. Good win for the Browns. They're 8-5. They probably will find themselves in the playoffs. And this defense isn't as historically great as it once was, but they've got talent everywhere, and they could be a problem. No team wants to play this Browns squad, I'll tell you that. Pearchamp says the Bengals just ran over the Colts with their 2 running backs. Yeah, Mixon and Chase Brown were great. Chase Brown is starting to come along for the Bengals. He's been a good little find, and Mixon somehow continues to put together good seasons. I keep thinking he's going to fall off, but he hasn't yet. So that's good. And Caden saying this game needs to hurry. I'm itching. Me too, man. I cannot wait to play my game tonight. And then we can advance to the next week and play again. And I'm going to try and set up recording the Twitch stream for Madden, and I can go watch the tape of this game. Go watch back and see what I did wrong, because, I'm always grinding the tape. But, hey, we're halfway there, right? We'll probably be done a little past 10 o'clock your time. I don't have a whole lot going on tomorrow. I have to get my articles turned in for work and study for my Spanish final. But it's not like I need to be at class or at work at a certain time. So I can stay up a little bit later tonight. So that'll help. But we should be getting out of the half soon. But yeah, Browns, Jaguars. Frustrating loss for the Jags. I mean, the Browns are playing with house money there, going up against the banged up Jags squad. And they kind of missed Christian Kirk today too, who's been a good player for them. Panthers, Saints. I don't know how much we need to talk about this game. I mean, the Saints won, right? They did beat the Panthers. Bryce Young was 13 for 36, which is pretty gross. Again, it's not like he's working with a whole lot, but he hasn't been stellar either. Some of it is on him, that's for sure. But they scored 6 points. The Saints got was it a blocked punt? Yeah, they got a blocked punt for a touchdown. Derek Carr, it's not like Derek Carr was great either. He had fewer yards than Bryce Young. Somehow 137 passing yards was not the lowest amount by a quarterback in this game. Yeah. Caden says, I have to be up at 5:45, but getting Jamel Dean his star ability is more important. Oh, I feel that, man. Hey, I need to get Tyreek an X Factor. I respect the grind, staying up late for Madden. I respect the heck out of it. We appreciate it. But the Saints, they also kind of ran the ball with their pair of backs, Kamara and Williams. I'll be honest, I didn't see a whole lot of this game, but the Panthers' season of nightmares continues, and the Saints are in a 3-way tie for the division. And no disrespect to the Saints, but I think they're the team I'd like to see least in the playoffs of those 3. There's just nothing new or exciting about them. I don't want to watch Derek Carr throw for 180 yards on 40 attempts against the Cowboys. Jets, Texans. Zach Wilson with all the drama, right? Oh, I don't want to start. You guys disrespected me bringing in Tim Boyle. Reluctantly starting. They convince him to start. Zach frickin' Wilson, man. 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Only 9 incompletions. He was locked in. He played great against the Texans, a potential playoff team. And the Jets defense did their thing again. C.J. Stroud, maybe his worst game of the year. Locked up by this Jets defense that eats quarterbacks up and spits them out for fun. And they lose Nico Collins. C.J. Stroud goes down. His health is in question. Tough loss for them. It was a tough Sunday for the Texans. And the Jets, I mean, they're agents of chaos. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers still wants to come back and play. We'll see about that. But we're about to get this second half going now. Cowboys up 24-6 over the Eagles. We'll be bouncing back and forth. We'll cover the other games here too, but we'll wait for a commercial break to talk about this one because this game was special. I did see a lot of this game, and I liked what I saw. As an enjoyer of football, this was quality product, I will say. Beautiful. 10 out of 10. I want another game like this. Please. But here we go. All right. What do the Eagles have in them? As we'll look at Pear Champ's comment here.
saying, is there a player that has surprised you this season that isn't a rookie? I would say Mostert on the Dolphins is pretty good and surprising with how the Dolphins wanted to get Taylor from the Colts. And that's a good point, right? They were heavily linked with Jonathan Taylor. And I'm actually talking about this in my new video, which I filmed the shots of me on camera yesterday. So we are so close to the end zone with that video. My goal is to get the video out before I go home to Fargo, which is on the 20th. I think that's going to happen, to be honest. It is so close. But I talk about how the Dolphins' run game has turned around a lot under Mike McDaniel. And I am a little surprised by how dominant Mostert has been, too. I know he's always been great in this Shanahan-McDaniel-style offense, right? McDaniel worked with him in San Francisco, and Mostert had a good run there, a lot of outside zone runs. He's a speedy, decisive back that really fits that offense. But the fact that he's near the top of the league in rushing yards, and I believe he leads the league in rushing touchdowns, yeah, that does surprise me. But he is a perfect fit for their scheme, but he has been one of the pleasant surprises. I would not expect him to be a Pro Bowl caliber back, but that's exactly what he's been this year. You said that isn't a rookie. Okay, I was going to say Puka Nacua. That's like cheating, of course. Who would have thought Puka Nacua would be one of the best receivers in the NFL? I would say maybe I'm a little biased, but I have been pleasantly surprised by a lot of the Vikings defenders, to be honest. But in particular, Cameron Bynum. He's a player that I've always been a little bit high on, and he's always shown flashes. Maybe had good games or good stretches of play where he's looked good, but never been the most consistent. And I didn't know how much of the field Bynum was going to see this year. With Lewis Seen, a safety out of Georgia, being our first-round pick a few years ago. Obviously, Harrison Smith is there. And I knew that safeties were going to see the field a lot with this Brian Flores defense, but I kind of thought Bynum was going to be the odd man out. But again, him and Josh Metellus have been playing at an elite level this year, and that has been a very pleasant surprise for the Vikings. Some other names that come to mind. Who's been a good surprise so far? Oh, geez. I would say Deron Bland being as good as he's been has been surprising, and you can make a lot about how maybe he got picked on, and sometimes he gets burnt, but that game against the Seahawks was kind of an aberration. He wasn't getting burned like that every week. He has overall been a solid cover corner with elite playmaking ability. And injury and circumstances has kind of led to him seeing the field more, but he has definitely been a surprise. He'll probably make the Pro Bowl, probably deserved. Maybe not Defensive Player of the Year like some people were suggesting after that Commanders game, but yeah, he's been a good player this year and a nice surprise for Dallas. I can't say C.J. Stroud. He's a rookie. How about Matthew Stafford, honestly? I was more worried about Stafford just injury-wise, right? That elbow injury scared the heck out of me last year, and he didn't even look that great when he was healthy last season. If you go back and watch my quarterback ranking stream, which, by the way, that website, they updated the quarterback rankings. I think that might be a fun stream I'll do over winter break maybe. If I'm bored one day, I'll go back and do that, revisit that near the end of the year, because I did that in the off season. But in that quarterback stream, I kind of said, I just want to see a few games of Matthew Stafford, see him healthy, and I would have no problem saying Stafford is back if he's good. I just don't know that he is going to be good again with that elbow injury and the fact that he's older, and that the Rams as a team did not look that good going into the year. We talked about how the Rams are maybe one of the surprising teams of the year, but Matthew Stafford has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I would say he's been a good surprise too. This honestly might have been his best game today. And, the completion percentage wasn't the great, but going up against this ferocious Ravens defense, outside in the elements on the road, you've got a West Coast team, LA. They're used to playing indoors at sunny SoFi. Going all the way to the East Coast, big time difference. And typically Stafford hasn't played his best outdoors. Going up against his Ravens defense, facing a lot of blitzes. Some of the throws he made against the blitz were just jaw-dropping. He was phenomenal today. This was maybe his best game of the year. Kyron Williams has been a surprise. Hey, he's technically not a rookie, right? You've got him on your fantasy squad, pair champ. You got to be happy with that. How about the Rams starting off the game with 9 straight running plays? That was cool. Oh, I love Sean McVay so much. But yeah, and it was good to see them feature Cooper Kupp heavily again. Hadn't been the guy recently. He did find the end zone last week, but Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, one of the best 1-2 punches in the game for sure. Oh, the ball is out, A.J. Brown coughs it up. And if they rule that a completion, it's Cowboys ball, and it is. Wow. Dallas forces a turnover. Philly was driving a little bit. And again, they just can't get stuff out of their drives. Yeah, Gilmore rips it out. Was he down? Let's see. That knee is not down and that ball is out. That's Cowboy football. Wow. Are we on the verge of them running away with this? I mean, another turnover. Dallas is now winning the turnover battle 2-0. There's Al Harris. You want to talk about a head coaching candidate? He is a sleeper, and the Packers fans in here might know all about Al Harris. There's a reason that the Cowboys have been churning out these great defensive backs recently. Al Harris has done a phenomenal job as their DB coach. Or at the very least, he could be in line to get promoted to defensive coordinator. But I feel like Al Harris, if not this year, keep an eye out on him for the next few years. He is going to be a hot commodity to be hired somewhere for something. And that is the wave, right? Hiring these younger former players, right? Good culture guys. Keep an eye out for Al Harris. Let's see what Dallas has. Prescott from a clean pocket. And, he hit CD in the hands. That was a good throw from Dak. Maybe the defensive back broke that up. We'll have to see that back. But, oh, man, that was a nice little moon ball right there. CD Lamb just running down the sideline, a little go ball. Oh, it was a little stop and go sluggo. Oh, it was there. It was a tight window, and yeah, he hits him in the hands. Wow. Pearchamp says, I do love Kyren Williams. If he stayed healthy, he would probably be the second best running back behind CMC. Yeah, and that's like, if you don't have Kyren Williams in fantasy, that might be something that not a lot of people realize. But the Rams are a very run-heavy team. Ever since Kyren Williams came back in particular, their running attack has been amongst the best in the league. And they're one of those teams, right, the McVay, Shanahan, McDaniel, LaFleur, like they all fall under that Shanahan scheme, right? And outside zone runs are the bread and butter. And the Rams still do run a lot of outside zones, but they've done a lot more of gap and power scheme too. And I got an email from, is this my bank? Hold on. Oh, it's Belly. It's an app that I use. It's a food review app. The way they framed it made it look like it was a response from like one of the companies I applied to. I hate how they baited me like that. If you guys aren't familiar with Belly, it's a fun little app where you can like rank restaurants you've been to and stuff. Like, it's been a while since you've used us. Oh, the return man got decked right there. He was in bounds, but big stop from Philly there to get the ball back after the fumble. Not a lot of time off the clock there either. That helps. That gives them a pulse at least. Man, it looked like if Dallas scored there to make it a touchdown, that would have probably been lights out, game over. But Philly is at least hanging in there. Dallas definitely in control, though, as you can see by this nice little win probability graphic. ESPN right now is about a 95.2% chance of winning. I would have to agree. But let's close out of the Browns, Bengals, and all that. Let's talk more about Kyren Williams' team, the Rams, as well as the Ravens. We talked about this earlier, right? Ravens channeling their Jets with a walk-off punt return touchdown. They're showing it. Well, they're showing the highlights right now. Well, they're showing Zay Flowers, but what a game by these two quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson played out of his mind too. Finally getting the passing touchdowns right. A lot of people are like, oh, look at how few passing touchdowns he has. Actually, this quarterback is better, but real ones, no. They just like to run the ball near the goal line a lot. But 3 touchdowns, 1 pick today for Lamar. He also made some plays with his legs. 70 yards rushing, led the team. 316 passing yards. I mean, what else is there to say? He is a top 5 quarterback for sure. And when he plays like this, the Ravens can beat anyone. Even on a day where their defense wasn't at its sharpest, they allowed 31. He found Odell and Isaiah Likely for big play touchdowns. Granted, they were like wide open, bare naked, but he found them. And then he hit Zay Flowers for that clutch touchdown late, driving him down the field. That was masterful by Lamar. Did another good job of distributing the ball well. Look at the target distribution. A lot of guys eating through the air. And then defensively, again, not the greatest performance, but when you score 37, you should win, and that's exactly what the Ravens did. The Rams, man, I had the Rams losing this game. We all know how high I am on the Rams at this point. I truly believe this is a playoff team and that they'll find a way in. And if they do, look out. This is not a team that people are going to want to play in the playoffs. Stafford, again, maybe his best game of the year. Some of the throws were just beautiful against the blitz, falling back, finding Cooper Kupp. That throw to Puka Nacua was a nice throw and an even better catch by Puka. Kyron Williams continues to run the ball well. Davis Allen, their tight end, got involved a little bit. And, you can only expect so much out of their defense. I've liked what Raheem Morris has done, but it's not like a shutdown unit by any means. But it was a back-and-forth affair. These feel like two playoff teams right here. It's a shame that they're in different conferences. If they were in, both in the AFC or NFC, I'd have been I'd love to see this again in the playoffs, but we'd need to see them in the Super Bowl for that, which I don't think that'll happen. I like the Rams, but I don't think they're going to make the Super Bowl. But, yeah, great football all around, and someone had to win the game right, and the Ravens did. And it was a deserved result, right? I'm not saying the Rams got hosed or whatever. The Ravens were just every bit as good. The Rams, if they would have been able to steal this one, then their playoff odds would be looking real good. And now I expected them to lose this one, so they'll have to pick up wins against the Commies, Saints, and Giants. All very winnable. Now, to get them to that magic number of 9, they would kind of have to hope that the Vikings sputter down the stretch, though, which might happen. And I don't know what their divisional record is. I'll have to pull up the standings here. But there is a path to the Rams making the playoffs. What is their divisional record? I feel like it's decent, no? 4-1 against the division. And the Vikings will have 2 games against the Lions and 1 against the Packers. So there's a chance they could drop some of those. And then the Rams, if they both finish with 9 wins, the Rams might get the spot on virtue of better divisional record. Wow. Yeah. So that is probably the path. At the end of the day, I honestly do think it's going to be the Packers and Rams that get the 6 and 7 seeds. But tough loss for them, but they have a chance to bounce back. And the Ravens are on their way to the 1 seed, maybe. Look at this stretch right here. Only lost a 2-point loss to the Browns. I feel like we're not talking about how great the Ravens have been, which is kind of crazy. I don't know. I feel like we were talking about them a lot in this stretch, and then they lost to the Browns, and the hype kind of died down a little bit. But they've bounced back with 3 big wins since then. They've got the Jags, Niners, Dolphins, and Steelers. We're going to find out a lot about this Ravens team. If they're going to get the 1 seed, they're going to earn it because they do have a tough stretch coming up. I could see them going 2-2 in this stretch. I could see them going 3-1, to be honest. I could see their only loss being to the Niners on Christmas Day, which, oh, what a Christmas gift to us, right? Oh, what a game. Sorry, family. I will be watching Mike McDonald versus Kyle Shanahan. Nah, I kid. I'll be chilling with my family, but maybe we can deal with the game on or something, because I would like to watch this game. I might have the Ravens going 3-1 down the stretch. That might be enough for the 1 seed. That'd put them at 13-4. They're a good team. It would not shock me if they're in the Super Bowl. 1 bit. And a big win for them against the Rams. Character building win. You want to talk? Lamar Jackson is in the MVP conversation too, without a doubt. Which would be, if he wins, he'd have 2. Not a lot of people could say that. We got CB in here. Welcome to the stream, CB. Hope you're doing well. Saying, heard Jefferson went out on another injury. Yes. And I briefly touched on this at the beginning of the stream. It was a literal hospital ball from Josh Dobbs. If you haven't seen the play, Jefferson ran a beautiful route. This was one of the first drives back for him, right? Just absolutely cooks his man on a little 1-2 Allen Iverson crossover. Gets an easy release, wide open. Dobbs throws a bad pass. Jefferson has to jump up, full extension to catch it. gets absolutely lit up midair in his back while trying to catch it, right? Somehow holds on to the ball. It's like, holy crap, how did he catch that? And he looked all right at first, like he took a hard hit, but then he goes to the sideline and then he goes in the tent. And apparently he suffered a chest injury and he got taken to a nearby hospital just for like precaution. But yeah, he did not play the rest of the game. And it's just, it's so frustrating. He was back for like maybe 2 or 3 drives and then he got hurt again. And I don't know if he's going to play again this season. I mean, we'll see. I mean, the Vikings are, obviously in a playoff spot right now. He's going to travel home with the Vikings, it looks like. But we'll probably find more updates on his status, in the next few days. It's crazy because he was still our second leading receiver in that game. He had 2 catches for 27 yards. Only Hawkinson had more receiving yards on that game, which is kind of sad. But we'll see about his status. But yeah, that was bummed. I'm rocking the Jefferson jersey right now. I was so excited for him to come back. I was ready to gritty in my living room if he scored a touchdown, but no one scored a touchdown in that game at all. So, but we won a real man's football game. 3-0, tough, gritty, grinded out, ugly. Lowest scoring game since 2007. And if you guys haven't watched the highlights from that game, I believe it was Dolphins-Steelers Monday Night Football, and it had like stormed the night before, and the field was just covered in mud. Let's look it up, actually. Like, it was just like a hilarious mud bowl. Yeah, look at that. We won't pull up a video, but we'll look at some pictures here. The conditions were like this the last time we saw a 3-0 game. Yeah, today's game was played indoors. This is the lowest scoring game since this. It was bad. There was a part of me that was like rooting for the 0-0 tie, to be honest. I thought that would have been hilarious. Obviously, I wanted the Vikings to win because that helps us, and my favorite football team winning is a good thing. But I would have found amusement in a 0-0 tie, to be quite honest. And I thought for a moment that it might happen. Good Lord, that was just ugly. I think that Dobbs mania is over now, unfortunately. Nick Mullins just looked so much better, which is crazy to say because it's not even like he was that great. But I think Nick Mullins has to be the guy next week. Nick Mullins versus Jake Browning. Let's do this. Seahawks-Niners. We'll dive into this one. Let's go back to the game, though, at hand for a little bit. The Eagles and Cowboys. Cowboys with the ball, trying to put the Eagles away a little bit. They're near midfield. And the Eagles' defense has stood up a little bit more here in the second half. It's been a slow-moving third quarter here. A lot of incomplete passes. And, yeah. I mean, Philly's at least hanging around a little bit to their credit. My math checks out. It's an 18-point game, so 3 possessions. But the fact that this quarter has gone so slowly bodes well for Philly. Dallas has not done the greatest job of killing some of that clock. And I get, like, it's early to just run every play. And passing has been working, but Dak wanted to go deep there. He's going to go down instead. The ball is out. The ball is out, and it's scooped up by Jalen Carter, who's going to take it to the end zone. And it's a touchdown. A defensive touchdown for Philly. And we've kind of got a game all of a sudden. All right, it's back. Once they kick this extra point, back to an 11-point game. 10:41 left here in the third. It ain't over till it's over. Is that Fletcher Cox that forced the fumble? Good push right there on Zach Martin. You don't see Zach Martin get worked like that very often. Ball comes out. Yeah, he just knocks it out. Looked like, okay, it's going to be a big sack. Nope, fumble. And there goes Jalen Carter rumbling to the end zone. Touchdown, Eagles. Extra point is good. And the game is not over. It is not over yet, ladies and gentlemen. There's intrigue swirling around this one. Dak looked like he wanted to go deep, but changed his mind last second. Maybe a little indecisive with the football right there. You kind of got to make up your mind. Going up against the pass rush like this, that clock's got to go off at some point. It didn't, and it cost him. That's a big swing right there. Puts Philly back in this game. All right. Win probability doesn't seem to think that it's that big of a shifter, but I don't know, man. Well, it hasn't. It looks like it hasn't factored that in yet. It hasn't counted, hasn't updated. I still think Dallas wins, but game-changing play, man. Playmakers on defense. It's important. It's a good thing. All right, Niners, Seahawks. Niners continue to do their thing. They scored only 28 points today. McCaffrey ripped off like a 74-yard run on the first play, right? And it's like, oh, here we go. And he had a great game, 145 on the ground. He's going to probably win the rushing crown. Purdy did his thing. Pearchamp says, hey, doctor, I'm going to head out, but that was a lot of fun talking with you. Looking forward to your next video and stream. Take care, man. Thank you, Pearchamp. You too. You have a good night. Appreciate you as always tuning in. And you know what? The Packers, they got a big game tomorrow. We'll see how they do. But yeah, thanks for watching as always, Pearchamp. Appreciate you. Purdy, another good game. He was pushing the ball downfield pretty well. He made some nice throws in this game. You know, the Brock Purdy discourse is just crazy at this point. I liked a tweet the other day. Someone said, if you frequent Twitter a lot, if you're terminally online, more or less, Brock Purdy is probably better than you think. And if you're not terminally online or like reading stuff like The Ringer, Brock Purdy is probably a little bit worse than you think. But you have to give him his flowers. I mean, come on. 368, 2 touchdowns. And again, yeah, some of it is in the offense. Some of it is yards after catch, guys making good plays. Like, you cannot deny the talent around him. But some of it is him. They are pushing the ball downfield a decent amount. One thing that kind of annoys me is people say, oh, Purdy just throws checkdowns, right? First of all, statistically speaking, that's not really true. They do push the ball downfield a lot. And it's interesting to note that, Brock Purdy's average depth of target, his average air yards, how far he's actually throwing it down the field, is actually higher than some of the recent MVPs, like Patrick Mahomes last year, Aaron Rodgers in the 2 years he won MVP. Purdy's ADOT is higher. So he is pushing the ball downfield a little bit. And two, this is just a semantics thing, and maybe it's a little snooty of me to say, but I hate when people say oh, he's just throwing checkdowns, when that's just not true. Like a 6-yard out route is not a check down. It's just a shorter pass. A check down is when you go through your reads, first read, second read isn't there, and you just dump it off to the running back. That's a check down. A little out route to Brandon Ayuk when that's the first read and it's wide open. You could say, oh, the offense makes it easy. Ayuk just gets wide open. All Purdy has to do is lock onto him and throw it. Yeah, that's true, but it's not a check down. That's just me, though. I mean, that's just me being me. I understand what people are saying when they say that, but you have to give Purdy credit. He played really well today. He did. I would not call him a top 5 quarterback. I would probably not vote him for MVP, but I don't know. Some people are just man, Brock Purdy's actually the 25th best quarterback in the league. It's I don't know, man. I don't know that he is. There is an aspect of him that is actually good. Tony Pollard, nice little move after the catch right there. But, yeah, I mean, Debo and Ayuk both went crazy. Ayuk has been on one. Samuel's been on one particularly recently. He also had a rushing touchdown in there, I believe. Yeah, just a 1-yard end around. But Debo's been playing some great football recently. Ayuk has been great. Kittle had the long touchdown. McCaffrey only had 1 catch, but it didn't really matter. They just beat you in so many different ways. And Seahawks came out there with Drew Lock, who did all right. He turned the ball over a few times, but he got the ball to his weapons some. Seahawks put up a fight for a little bit. This game was honestly closer than I thought it was going to be, but they're now below 500, and the Seahawks slide has just kind of continued, and they might be on the outside looking in come playoff time. They play the Eagles next week. They do end with the Titans, Steelers, and Cardinals, which is a nice little stretch to end, but they're going to have to win all these 3 games, I think, to even have a shot, and their poor divisional record might hurt them. So they've got an uphill battle. They needed to steal a game in their tough stretch, and they just haven't. Maybe they can steal one against Philly, but I don't know. I just don't know. Oh, is Dowdle hurt? He is. Man. That's tough. Don't like seeing that. CB with a question here. Thoughts on Aaron Rodgers saying we shouldn't crown players early in their career. Interesting. I actually did not see that. I'll look that up right now. Aaron Rodgers crown players. Let's see what exactly he said. Oh, is this about Jordan Love? Okay. Interesting. I mean, I get it, right? It can be easy to get excited over a stretch, and we've definitely seen at times where, like, a player, especially a quarterback, puts together a nice stretch of play, and people get excited really quickly. I definitely didn't do that with Josh Dobbs, obviously, right? You know, because that would just be silly. I totally get what he's saying, though. I didn't see the full quote in context, but I'd have to think about that. I mean, yeah, you obviously have to tread carefully, right? Players can regress. They can look good a little bit. I think people kind of did that with Purdy last year, me included. It was like, maybe this is the best we'll ever see from Purdy. But then Purdy took another step up this year. But maybe this is the best we'll see of Purdy. But I totally get where he's coming from. Like, fans in the NFL could be extremely reactionary. I've definitely been guilty of this. When it's a week-to-week sport and there's only 17 games, every game means so much. All it takes is, like, flashes of brilliance, those little pockets, those little moments of greatness to get people excited. So I totally get what he's trying to say. You need to tread carefully and not get too worked up over one game. Even though the game is important, it is just a singular game. And that's why when I try and evaluate players, you can't just – even like one season, like you have to look at longevity, consistency, season to season, stuff like that. So I totally get where he's coming from with that. That is a decent Aaron Rodgers take, which you don't always get. But yeah, 49ers might have the inside track to the 1 seed depending on how this game finishes out over here. And again, they've got the head-to-head tiebreaker over those guys. So both of them. We're cruising through the Sunday slate here. Bills Chiefs. Here was a fun game. Oh, what a crazy ending this one had. You know, this was the ultimate test for the Bills. If the Bills didn't win this game, their season was probably over. And they have had their backs against the wall. They were 6-6 coming into this one. They had the whole Sean McDermott incident this week, which was just crazy. I'm sure you guys have seen that. The article that was posted on Sean McDermott, Bills head coach. But the Bills came together as a unit. They worked together, and they accomplished their goal. That's exactly what they did. Yeah. Backs against the wall. They had to go back into Big Bad Arrowhead, a place where they've actually had a decent amount of regular season success, but when the lights have been brightest, they've faltered sometimes. Of course, the defining game in this series will always be 13 seconds. But with their season on the line, the Bills come in and get it done. Josh Allen with another great game. And, you know, this was a great game. Also, look at Ferguson. He's still going, throwing stiff arms down near the red zone. Jake Ferguson fired up. Breakout player this year. But, and as great as this game was, maybe this is me being greedy. There was a part of me that was sad following this game. You're like, man, these teams would go to war. And this was still like a great game. And the NFL has changed and like scoring has just been down this year. But 20-17 just doesn't quite hit the same. It was a very different game. This game had a different feel from years past. But it also like it still felt as intense and as epic because, again, the Bills were more or less playing for their season. And now the Chiefs have only a 1-game lead for the division, which is wild. But the Chiefs offense, man, I thought they were going to figure it out after that Raiders game. It was like, hey, I like Rashee Rice a lot. Maybe they're turning a corner. I still like this defense. I don't know that this offense is going to figure it out this year. This is concerning and alarming. And Mahomes is still elite, obviously. But he pretty much has to be perfect every game for the Chiefs to be really good on offense. And he just hasn't quite been perfect. He hasn't. He had another interception in this game. And the Chiefs' offense just does not have juice right now. It's concerning. You know what's crazy? not to pat myself on the back a little bit here, but I did have the Chiefs as the 4 seed going into this season. That might actually happen, which is crazy. There's a chance that they're the 4 seed. And for the first time ever in the Patrick Mahomes era, they might have to go play a playoff game on the road. Crazy, right? There's a chance. But the Bills get it done. I mean, I don't know. The running game was solid. They stuck with the run, which I always like to see. Josh Allen has just kind of been taking matters into his own hands. It's not even that they have a different play caller, and that's why Allen is running more. Josh Allen has just kind of decided, like, it's go time. Screw my pitch count or whatever. I'm going to run the rock. Wasn't his most efficient day, but another rushing touchdown for him. He made some great plays through the air. Again, wasn't his best game on the year, but he made it happen. Even with Diggs having a quiet game, the Chiefs did a good job on him. But the story of this game was Kadarius Toney losing him again. Like, that's twice now. I mean, you guys have probably seen the play at this point, right? Travis Kelce, big catch down the field late in the game, and then a beautiful spiral to hit Kadarius Toney wide open, a little backwards pass, and Toney takes it in for the touchdown. It looks like the Chiefs have taken the lead. Toney was lined up off sides, and the play doesn't count, and they lose the game. And it's just, that's now twice that Toney has legitimately lost them a game. Like, he is responsible for 2 of their losses, as harsh as that sounds. It's true. The Chiefs should be like 10-3 right now. They should be fighting for the 1 seed. I don't think they're going to get it. But CB saying thinks the Chiefs should be a little bit worried. I think so. They just don't, like, this team just feels different. There is not the same firepower to them. The aura is not quite the same this year. The wide receivers are just unserious. They are. And I think that there is a chance that Kelce falls off a cliff next year. Now, he's still been quite good this year, which is crazy, right? Considering he's missed a game at this point in the year, you know, he's going to probably get over 100 catches or close to 100 catches, over 1,000 yards, and a decent amount of touchdowns again. He's just consistently been an elite tight end. He still offers a lot as a blocker. But he just doesn't seem to be moving quite the same out there. And he's sneaky old. He's 34. He's 34 years old. He's been in the league for a while. People can forget that because he was an older rookie. And, you know, he didn't play his first year. He was suspended. But he's been in the league since 2013. First started playing in 2014. So he's getting up there in age. And tight ends, it's such a physically taxing position. I don't know, man. I could see a world where this is Kelce's last good year and he maybe falls off a little bit next year. So, yeah, I would be a little worried if I was the Chiefs. I tell you what, if you watched my last video, I had a beautiful line. I was proud of myself for this, where I said, like, oh, the Buccaneers won a Super Bowl. You know, it worked. They won a ring before it all fell apart. The Rams won. It worked. They won a ring before it all fell apart. The Chiefs won. It worked. They won a ring. Time will tell when it falls apart. You're starting to see a few cracks now. You are. And it's just, you know, I don't think that for as consistently great as they've been, and it's impressive, especially in this era, how they've been going to like the AFC Championship game every year, just dominant year after dominant year. And they've had a lot of roster turnover. They lose Tyreek Hill and they win the Super Bowl. But I don't think that this is going to be another Patriots situation where they're dominant for 20 years. That's just so hard to do. No team might ever do that ever again. And I know we're saying this. They're 8-5. They're going to make the playoffs. And once you get in, it's anyone's game. They've got Mahomes, Kelce, and Reed in a good defense. But you are starting to see cracks a little bit. Let's watch Brandon Aubrey try a 59-yard field goal and nail it. And nail it. Brandon Aubrey is him. 14-point game. He drilled it. Dallas 27, Philly 13. Good for Dallas to get some points right there. They needed it. They hadn't gotten points so far in this half. Man, we need to have a conversation about Brandon Aubrey. All-pro kicker, maybe. I mean, seriously, he could be first-team All-Pro. He's been a machine. Also, CB saying, he also said vice versa, where you shouldn't write someone off either. I just thought it was a very interesting convo. I agree. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's hard to write off guys even after a few years. Look at Geno Smith, right, Mr. I didn't write back, though. Like, It is the NFL. Every player is good. A lot of it is circumstantial, situational. Sometimes it just doesn't work out for guys. Sometimes guys need a while to figure it out. How about the Bills quarterback, Josh Allen? Objectively bad for like the first 2 seasons of him being a starter. Then he figured it out. So, yeah, it is, and I think it's people expect more from younger players these days. And younger players have just gotten so good, man. I mean, they're playing the game at such a young age now. They get high-quality coaching when they're like 10. So I understand why like rookies and stuff are better and like you maybe expect a little bit more production, but sometimes you still need time to just season and marinate, right? All right. What can Philly do? Hey, it's a 2-touchdown game. A lot of time left. Plenty of time. Can't be turning the ball over, though. Fumbles have been an issue a little bit. Hurts hasn't been like throwing picks or anything, but I will say this. I would be legitimately shocked if we had a Super Bowl rematch this year. I don't know that the Eagles or the Chiefs get back to the big game, to be honest. And I'm okay with that. I would like to see some new teams in there. I know it was like a popular thing at the beginning of the year to have a Super Bowl rematch. And I don't blame people. I mean, the Eagles and Chiefs kind of looked like the 2 best teams in the league going into the year, but I know Pearchamp asked me earlier, like, pick a Super Bowl matchup. I do not think it's going to be Eagles-Chiefs. My semi-hot take is I don't know if either of those teams even make it to the conference championship game, to be quite honest. But that's a different conversation. And the Eagles, they're hanging around in this game still. But those teams both have their concerns. The Chiefs on offense and the Eagles on defense more so. DeAndre Swift, nice little run right there. But they're moving, like, again, still, I sound like a broken record. On offense, the Eagles are doing a decent job moving the ball. They just have not maximized their drives. They haven't scored a touchdown on offense, have they? No, it was Jalen Carter with the fumble recovery. That's their only touchdown so far. But they're gaining yards. At 232, that number will probably go up a little bit more here. See if they run again. Yeah. Hey, Brian Johnson was listening to the angry Philly fans. They are not going away from the run now. Still. How many times have they run the ball here in this game? Let's compare it to their last game, too. 18 rushes so far for the Eagles. And how much did they run against the Niners? As they'll do the brotherly shove. Easy first down. And again, final score ended up being a blowout, but so 18, and now they have 19 after the brotherly shove. So already more rush attempts here for the Eagles in this one. Again, maybe a slightly different scenario, but that is probably where Philly is at their best, is when they can run the ball a little bit more, set up those big plays downfield. They're in Cowboy territory. Yeah, they got there quick. If they could try and score before the end of the quarter, that would be good. Obviously, you can't control that too much. But look at that. They're moving the ball. There's Dallas Goedert rumbling in. Him coming back is a big deal for Philly. Good player. I do like me some Dallas Goedert. Probably one of the 5 best tight ends in the league. Plays a very important role in that offense. Look at the block and release on Micah Parsons. Just holds him off long enough and then finds the open space. That is a good old-fashioned grown man tight end play right there. Dallas Goedert, FCS guy. Went to South Dakota State. South Dakota State, Siki tight end factory. I do like Tucker Kraft, too, a lot for the Packers. And South Dakota State's running back this year, I forget his name. He's pretty good. He might get drafted. Yeah, okay, they're showing a sign for run the ball now. I can just picture like all the angry Philadelphians just like pounding on the gates of the team facility, like run the ball. Decent amount of green there. Philly fans travel well. 2nd and 11. Hurts with some time. He's going to lob it down the field to Devontae, and they just couldn't quite link up. It hit him in the hands. It would have been a tough catch, one that he maybe would have been able to bring in, though. Incomplete. Oh, that could have been 6. Let's watch this back. Let's see how catchable of a ball this was. We have Smith working in the slot right here. Good release. Just working inside and then out. He's open. Oh, it was there. Maybe just a bit too far for him. That would have been a tough catch. One that he maybe could make, but not consistently. Could have been a slightly better ball by Hurts. Would have been a great high-level throw. That's why I like Hurts as much as the next guy, but I think that is what maybe separates him from like that top tier of quarterbacks. Like, you know, honestly, like even like Lamar Jackson might drop that throw in the bucket, but not Hurts. And sometimes he does. That's not like sometimes Hurts does. It's just a little bit more consistent with those top level guys. 4th down and they're going to go for it. Yeah, why not, right? 3 doesn't do you a lot here. And that play call kind of indicates that they wanted to go for it. Quick little pass to A.J. Brown. It's 4th and 9, though, which is interesting. Next Gen Stats agrees with them to go for it here. The Eagles are definitely one of those organizations that pay attention to that kind of stuff. They've got their own models and charts, obviously, but they're usually pretty consistent across the board. We'll see if they do snap it. They do. Cowboys, heavy blitz. Hurts trying to stand up to the pressure. Off to Devontae Smith, and what a tackle by Stephon Gilmore. The Cowboys corners have come to play with their tackling. 2 great open field tackles by Deron Blant and a great one by Stephon Gilmore. It's a turnover on downs and a huge momentum-changing stop for the Dallas defense. They got the look they wanted. Blitz coming. A lot of space there for Devontae Smith. Cowboys defense, their pass rush does a great job getting home. Hurts has to fall back. He can't quite put this one on the money. Can't quite get his full body into it. Leaves it short. And Smith can't get as many yards after the catch because of that. And Gilmore is there in a hurry. That is a good job by Dan Quinn. Look at Dan Quinn. That's a man that knows his blitz worked right there. Excellent, excellent blitz by the Cowboys. And they get the stop. It can be scary to blitz against these good receivers. But it worked right there. They didn't get home, but, you know, the pressure forces a not as ideal throw. All right, we're going to go into the 4th quarter here. Dallas is leading by 14. And they've got the ball. They can kill some more clock. I think if Dallas puts it back to a 3-score game, this one is probably over at this point. Philly coming back down 3 scores in 15 minutes is a tall task. Caden says, "I need this Madden game." We're getting there. 15 more minutes, man. I know. I'm waiting too. I wish that we could hit a little Excel clock action here, but you best believe once we're done, I will be hopping on as soon as I can. I think the Xbox One is already hooked up to the big TV, so we can just jump right in. I need it too, man. I need it too. One more quarter. Cowboys clinging to the lead. I feel like they gotta close this one out, right? I mean, if Philly can come back and win, I might take back what I've said about them not making the NFC Championship game because, you know, maybe they just have that dog in them. They have a lot of dogs on them, a lot of dogs on the team, but we shall see. I guess we could talk more. We covered this game. Not really any games left, are there, that we haven't talked about? Oh, Broncos-Chargers. Yeah, Justin Herbert gets injured. Never like to see an injury. Easton Stick comes in. Horns up. He tried his best. I mean, what can you really do? They only scored one touchdown on offense. It was Austin Eckler punching it in. For the Chargers, I guess a good positive is to see Quentin Johnston catch the football. He's struggled with dropsies. He goes 3 for 91. That's positive, right? He's shown the ability to get open. He just cannot catch the football, and I feel like a lot of it is mental. Like, I feel bad for him, honestly. Keenan Allen had an all-right game. You know, the Chargers defense continues to do all right. You know, one of the Broncos touchdowns was set up by a short field off of a turnover. They did get burnt by Cortland Sutton for a long touchdown, but it's not like this Chargers defense has been one of the worst units in the league. They really haven't for like the past few months. But their playoff hopes are probably over now. They're 5-8, and this is an organization that's kind of in a weird spot because they went all in while Herbert was on his rookie deal, which I actually agree with that approach. They just kind of struck out on a lot of their guys, and they've had terrible injury luck and just maybe just haven't quite played up to their level. And some of that has been the defense. Some of that has been Brandon Staley. But yeah, this is another team that just hasn't quite reached their full potential. They've got the Raiders, Bills, Broncos, and Chiefs to close it out. Yeah, I think you can stick a fork in this team. They're probably done for the year. I would be surprised if Staley survived, to be honest. And even though I've sometimes stood with Brandon Staley and defended him, I do not blame the Chargers if they want to fire him. They need a fresh coat of paint, to be honest. Here's what's concerning, I think, for the Chargers, is that they are projected to be in the biggest hole as far as cap space goes going into next offseason. They do not have a lot of money, and they just paid Justin Herbert a lot of money. They're going to, if they want to keep Rashawn Slater, they're going to owe him a lot of money too. They've got big contracts on Khalil Mack, Joey Bosa, and Derwin James. So that's kind of what is concerning with this team, is that they went all in on Herbert's rookie deal. His extension is going to kick in soon, and they struggled to build a winning team around him while he's on his rookie deal. Now he's not going to be, and I feel like it's going to be harder. We talk about firing Staley as that one is nearly picked off. It was a free play. I would really consider firing Tom Telesco, their general manager, too. I mean, and they struck out on Quentin Johnston so far, which was kind of a win-now pick. Hasn't quite panned out. I feel so bad. I've heard your name so many times, but I butcher it. But Tuipulotu, I hope I said that right. He has been quite good this year, but for the most part, it's just been not the greatest draft class from them. And again, this was kind of their window, and they really struck out on it. And now they're going to have to, figure out how to manage the salary cap situation while paying Justin Herbert. I mean, I think it's the second richest deal in the history of the league, and the cap will go up, and it'll age fine. But for the first few years, it's going to be rough. They're going to have their work cut out for them. They don't have a very bright future right now, to be honest, which might sound harsh, but I don't know. They could kind of be in this neighborhood for a few years, to be quite honest. That's my take on the Chargers. They've got a challenge ahead of them. But who knows? Maybe they knock their next draft out of the park, and then they win 11 games, and I shut my mouth. But I think that they're a ways away, to be honest. And the Broncos are back in the playoff race. A big win. Lose a heartbreaker to the Texans last week. Snaps their winning streak. But they're back in the win column. They have been red hot, really. Russell Wilson was fine. He did have that Cortland Sutton touchdown was nice, and a lot of that was just Cortland Sutton making a sick catch. But Russ put it in a good spot. I love this running game. Javonte. The defense has been good. This is a potential playoff team. They do have a tough game against the Lions, and they've got the Patriots they should beat. Chargers, I don't know. The Chargers could steal that, and then the Raiders. They're in the mix. It is a chaotic, wide-open playoff field for the AFC. And you know what, Kaden? I will preview the Packers game. How about it? Let's watch Dak Prescott here. Ooh, nearly intercepted, going through his reads right there. Maybe wanted to go deep. You know what? I'm a nice guy. Let's preview the Packers game first. I'm a good, gracious host. I listen to the people. Packers versus Giants, Monday night. Packers. You want to talk about one of the hottest teams in the league, one of the hottest QBs in the league. That's the Packers with Jordan Love right now, playing some great football. Winners of 3 of their last 4. And they knocked off the Chiefs. They knocked off the Lions. I mean, Jordan Love, he passes the eye test 110%. And they're getting a little bit healthier on offense. Christian Watson is hurt, which isn't ideal. Looks like Kevontae Turpin is going to draw a PI there. That'll be a first down for the Cowboys. The defense has stepped up a little bit. I mean, I've already raved about Matt LaFleur. But now they're going up against the Giants, who have had a kind of lost season, coming off a playoff year where they won a playoff game at the expense of my Vikings. And it just has not been there. Quarterbacks have been injured and underperforming. Even when Daniel Jones has played, it's been bad. Saquon has been all right, but he can't do it all. The receivers have been underwhelming. The offense as a whole has been very underwhelming. The defense has kind of gotten their act together a little bit, though. Their defense has been playing a lot better, and they quietly have won the last two, which maybe some Giants fans aren't the happiest about because maybe they're thinking about draft position. But they beat the Commanders, and then they had just a hilarious win against the Patriots. Patriots missed what would have been a game-tying field goal. And I don't know. I like this defense a decent amount. I do like this front four. Dexter Lawrence is legitimately one of the best players in the league, in my opinion. He is so dominant as a nose tackle against the run and as a pass rusher. I mean, it's just comical. You know, a good nose tackle, especially a nose tackle, even more than a defensive tackle, nose tackle, he's just lined up on the head of the center, more or less. Double or triple teamed almost every play. A good nose tackle just takes up space, disrupts a little bit, frees up space for the guys on the edge. No, Dexter Lawrence is like up there amongst the league leaders for pressures. It is hilarious. I mean, he just dominates. He wins against double and triple teams more than like anyone else in the league. It is like, not exaggerating, it's like Aaron Donald level dominance. It's ridiculous. He's been so good. And Thibodeau has started to come into his own. Deonte Banks has shown promise as a rookie. So there is talent on this defense, and I kind of hinted at that earlier. Like, this is quietly a decent test for the Packers, who always seem to develop offensive line really well. And their line has been pretty good this year, albeit injured and not at full strength with Bakhtiari, maybe just never playing again. Who knows what's going on with that. But they're going up against Wink Martindale, a coordinator who likes to dial up a lot of pressure, likes to blitz a lot. And it's had mixed results this year, but let's see how Jordan Love can handle this pressure. A quietly good pass rush that likes to blitz a lot. Let's see Jordan Love have another good game. That is the question. And Christian Watson looks like he's going to be out. Aaron Jones is questionable. If he doesn't play, their running game is significantly worse. How can Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur win this chess match against Wink Martindale? That will be something to watch. If Jordan Love plays well again, every time he plays well, it becomes more and more real, which as a Vikings fan terrifies me. But, you know, if you like the Packers, you gotta like what you see from Jordan Love. He's looked really good, man. And that contract is looking like a bargain right now. They gave him an extra year. It was kind of weird because the first half of the year, it's like, what are we doing? Like, what do we really have with him? He's turned it on. And the Packers with another win, they're in the thick of the playoff race. If they win, they go above 500. So it's a big game. I am going to probably pick the Packers. They are 6-point favorites here. The Giants aren't the greatest team. I weirdly think the Giants are going to cover. I'm going to say Packers by 4 here. Give me Packers 24-20. But I think they will get out of here with a win. But I would love to see Jordan Love against this defense. Dak taking a shot to Cooks, and he can't hold it in. Oh, he had it. It was there. Incomplete. CB says, go Pack, go. Yeah, we got a few Packers fans in here. Caden, Pearchamp, and CB, all Packers fans here for a Vikings fan channel. How ironic is that? But you know what? Shout out Tom Grossi, the Packer Pipeline, the raid, right? You know, I'll take it. Packers fans are welcome on here. This is a welcoming space. But yeah, give me the Packers by 4 here, 24-20. Another one of those character building wins for them. I just don't trust the Giants offense that much. Aubrey does it again. Like clockwork. A machine. 30-13. Now it's a 3-possession game, and that might be it, to be honest, right? Yeah, 17 points, 3 possessions. Even if they get 2 tutties, 2 points, that's only 16. Yeah, there's not much else to say on the Giants, I think. A lot of Giants fans would probably hope they lose this game, but who knows? Crazy things happen. Excuse me. And then we've got the other Monday night game. It's kind of weird having a Monday night doubleheader at this point in the season. Usually they only have one, and it's usually like week 2 or week 1. And usually the games are staggered. But they're like staggered by an hour, which I've never liked either. Now they've got 2 games going on at the same time, which I just personally, I'm not a fan. I don't think we need this, to be honest. I don't think anyone really asked for this. Why do we need 2 Monday night games, let alone going at the same time? I don't know. That's just me personally. I never asked for this. But we've got Titans-Dolphins for the other one. Hey, pigskin pregame last week, right? What did I say? I said the Dolphins were going to hang 40. They did. I said they were due to finally get back to their explosive ways on offense, going up against a Commanders defense that has just been terrible. I mean, you got to hold your nose when you turn on the TV watching the secondary. It's so bad. Ron Rivera is probably a dead man walking, to be honest. There's no way he survives this season. Just no way. And, yeah, they got lit up. Tyreek Hill did his thing again. Devon Achane was back. He did his thing. Mostert, our surprise man, has been good again. Yeah, the Dolphins hung 45 on them. It was a promising sign. Now, that the stigma around this team is that they can't beat winning teams. They've struggled against teams that are above 500. Now, fortunately, they're not going up against that in the Titans. The Titans are 4-8, and they are every bit 4-8. There are aspects of this team that are solid. They do have some good players. I still think Mike Vrabel's an all-right coach, but after the excitement of Will Levis, right, made his debut against the Falcons, 4 touchdowns, just bombing it down the field. Then they had a skid. They beat the Panthers by 7, but that's been about it. They have not been playing great football recently, and Will Levis has come back down to earth a little bit. Derrick Henry has quietly kind of bounced back and is going to have another 1,000-yard season somehow. I keep thinking he's going to fall off a cliff, and he just hasn't yet. So, I mean, they've got good players, and DeAndre Hopkins has been good this year, but I'm going to be real. No offense to the Titans. They're just not a very exciting team right now. And it's so funny how usually the AFC South is such a boring division. Every team is above 500 except for the Titans, and I don't foresee them somehow crawling their way back in. You know, and this Titans defense has also not been the greatest against the pass. They've been pretty good against the run, but they've let up some big days through the air. Minshew kind of had his way with them, and this was a wild game last week. There was some crazy sequences. We had a blocked punt. We had a pick 2. But yeah, I don't see the Titans winning this game, to be honest. I don't know that the Dolphins score 40 again, but I could certainly see 30. I think Tyreek Hill could have another big game going against this Titans secondary. So I'll go Dolphins 31, Titans 17. Give me the Dolphins to win pretty easily here on Monday night. Packers and Dolphins are my picks for that one. We've got Jack back in here saying Mahomes throws 9 touchdowns and breaks all sorts of records. Are you talking about Patrick Mahomes on the Rams? Throwing to A.J. Green, throwing those bombs. A.J. Green getting 400 receiving yards in a game. You know, that Rams team with Mahomes and A.J. Green might go down as the greatest offense of all time if Mahomes keeps it up. Mahomes is going for 100 touchdowns, I've heard. We've got a player down here for Dallas, it looks like. Never good to see that. But there you go. A little Packers game preview for you Packers fans in here. I will be keeping my eye on those Monday night games, though, maybe while I'm brushing up on my Spanish linguistics. Of course, my Spanish exam is on 8 a.m. on Tuesday. Like, really? 8 a.m.? But it is what it is. I guess I get it done, and then the rest of the day don't really have much going on, so that's good. But 8 a.m.? But that's my last final ever. After that final, I am done with school forever, and it is going to feel so good. Unless I, go back to school however many years from now. But done with college. I'll be graduating college this week. It's a surreal time, but I cannot wait to no longer be a student and hopefully join the workforce soon. Oh, I can't wait to be done with school. No disrespect to, my school. It's been a very rewarding experience, but, I mean, you guys get it. Being a college student can be a grind, so it'll be nice. I'm looking forward to my next chapter of life. That's what I'll say. That's a better way of phrasing it. There's Devontae Smith with a little catch. First down. Man, Dallas. It's 30-13. It feels like it could be even more, to be honest. Like, it feels like Dallas could be up by more than 17. There's Brian Johnson, the sometimes maligned offensive coordinator. Sometimes unfairly maligned, in my opinion. I think he's done an all right job, but he's not Shane Steichen. It's hard to be Shane Steichen. Hurts will navigate the pocket. There's A.J. Brown, first down. You know, they're moving the ball. How? See, okay, Dak's stats aren't eye-popping, so we'll see how much this helps his MVP case. But the fact that the Dallas Cowboys took care of business, that might help. I think there's a chance now after this win. You can't say, oh, they don't beat good teams, you know. We'll see. We'll see. But there's A.J. Brown again. We got CB chiming in. See T.J. Watt on Thursday night get kneed in the face on the first play, use smelling salts, put a dark visor on his helmet, and get put in concussion protocol after the game. I actually did not see that. I'll be honest. I actually did not watch a second of that Steelers-Patriots game. And it's not even because I didn't want to, right? I honestly thought it would have been, like, hilarious to watch just, like, two Stone Age offenses going at it, you know. Kind of sad seeing, like, oh, those two teams used to go to war. This is what it is now. But it's because I had to work. I was actually covering flag football over at North Oconee High School in Georgia. It was my final ever like assignment for work. I've still got to write the article tomorrow, but that was pretty cool. Flag football they added as a high school sport in Georgia in 2020, I believe, and North Oconee, the team that is in Oconee County, which we cover, their program started in 2021, and it was the semifinals of state, and they actually won, and so they're going to go play in the state championship tomorrow at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, which is pretty sweet. Flag football is the future, in my opinion. I don't know if it's going to like fully take over football, but it's being added in the Olympics, and, you know, we're seeing it at a high school level now. A lot of people are playing it. It was pretty cool. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a cool experience. It was some high-quality play, too, so, yeah. I did not see that Thursday night game, unfortunately. I did not get to see Mitch Trubisky versus Bailey Zappi, but I saw that Bailey Zappi kind of played well and the Patriots won. Jack says if Kenny was playing, they would have won. You know what? They probably would have, because all Kenny Pickett does is win. He's got the it factor. He's a winner, a dog. Dallas bringing the blitz here. Screen to A.J. Brown, first down. But no, that sounds pretty intense what T.J. Watt went through. But T.J. Watt seems cut out for intense situations, to say the least. We're now under 7 minutes remaining. This game is essentially over now. I mean, it would take a miracle. But you can pad the stats. I mean, that's definitely not what they're trying to do. They're playing the game, right? But there's Devontae Smith breaking tackles. The ball is out again. Was he down? They throw the blue handkerchief, signifying a change of possession, and at the moment, it's going to be Cowboys' ball. We'll see if the call stands, and they didn't call the guy who recovered it down either. Ruling on the field as a fumble. That ball is out. Another fumble for Philly. Man, they've just been getting killed by fumbles. CB says, crazy they didn't pull him from the game right away. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes teams just like to win. I didn't see the game, so I don't fully know what happened. But it is kind of crazy how sometimes guys will take hits like that and they don't pull them from the game. It's like, really? You sure? Should they be out there right now? Maybe not. But how many fumbles is that now for Philly? Is that their third fumble or only their second? But it's another turnover for them. And maybe there's another world where they don't turn the ball over and this game is a lot closer. That's kind of been the difference. Hey, as a Vikings fan, I know all about silly fumbles just being a pain in the butt. 1, 2, 3 fumbles lost. Yeah. 1 recovered, but 3 lost. Man. Killer. Can't do that and win a football game. Just can't. Yeah. They haven't had a whole lot going through the air. Ground game has been all right, but they kind of got taken out of it once they go down. So, thorough, convincing win for the Cowboys, that's for sure. They looked every bit the better team tonight. And you know what? They're going to go to bed right in the mix for the 1 seed and the division. As I always like to say, they're right there. What are the Eagles? I feel like we just looked at the Eagles' remaining schedule, right? They have the Seahawks and then 3 easy games. Yeah. 2 games left against the Giants. They should take care of business. I will say, right, Eagles-Giants is a classic, intense rivalry. Now, I'm not even saying I want this to happen. I mean, maybe personally, deep down, I do. I think it'd be hilarious if, like, the Tommy DeVito Giants beat the Eagles the last day of the season and cost the Eagles the division. Sorry if there's any Eagles fans in here. Yes, maybe I am still salty about 38-7. You guys handed it to us that day, of course. I don't know. I just think from a pure entertainment and chaos standpoint, even if it wasn't the Eagles, if it was the Cowboys too, it would be funny if the Giants won the final day of the season and just completely changed the fabric of the playoffs. Not saying it's going to happen. It probably won't, but Tommy DeVito. Well, poor Devontae Smith looks gutted. Back-to-back tough losses for Philly, most likely. They're going to have to do some soul-searching. But, you can't count this team out, obviously, right? They could easily bounce back and rip off 4 straight wins, get the 1 seed, get a first-round bye, and then the playoffs run through Philly. But I would give the slight advantage to San Francisco now for the 1 seed. It's great. They had that 3-game losing streak, but other than that, they've just been a machine this year. Win after win after win. If I had to guess, the playoffs are going to run through the Bay Area. A.J. Brown frustrated, throwing his helmet down. Gronk spiking it. No turnovers, week 9 versus Dallas, 3 tonight. That's what the graphic says. Yeah, that was the difference. Dallas couldn't force a turnover against Philly. And they've done a good job punching that ball out. It's not even like they got an interception or anything, but active hands, right? The peanut punch, named after Charles Tillman. Peanut. And Dan Quinn deserves his props for tonight's performance. Dan Quinn was in his bag, for sure. It's not even like they got home in a lot of the blitzes. They're just well-timed, well-executed. Well, Michael Gallup's about to get a big play. I wanted to see if they had gotten any sacks. Just 1 on Jalen Hurts. Yeah, it's not even like they've been throwing Jalen Hurts around or anything. All right, so this one is going to go to Gallup. Oh, Prescott under siege, and he got it off. And he dropped a dime. Wow. He was like seconds away. Not even seconds. He was like a half second away from being crushed there. Gets it off. It's a perfect throw. Look at this. Little play action. Quick fake. And he just gets it off. That is like a Russell Wilson on the Seahawks moonball to Tyler Lockett right there. Is that a catch? The ball did move. They're going to try and run a play quickly here. Philly's not going to challenge. Quick little, I think it was an RPO right there to Ferguson. Now they got a flag down. We'll see about this. Tirico is hinting at an illegal man downfield, as we often see on those RPOs. Mike McCarthy's not happy. Mike, dude, you're up 17. It's okay. Oh, no flag. See? I wonder if they'll wind the clock now here. I'm thinking about that Madden game too now. Yep, there we go. Okay. Will Dallas run up the score here? I mean, I don't know how much it's actually running up the score, quote unquote, but are they going to get another touchdown? Rub salt in the wound, maybe. You're going to have to run a play for a while. They're not going to probably run it down to like 1. They don't need to do that. They're going to get close, though. There's Pollard. First down. Philly does have 3 timeouts. I would be shocked if they used them. So now they're showing the remaining schedules. Of those 4, who has the easiest remaining schedule? It probably is the Eagles. They probably do have the easiest schedule of those 4 teams that they're showing up on the screen right now. The Eagles, Niners, Lions, and Cowboys. Dallas has a tough end. They do. San Francisco's is all right. I mean, Baltimore and the Rams, though, are going to be tough. They should take care of business easily against the Cardinals and Commanders, though. They might hang 40 on the Commanders, to be quite honest. I mean, the Commanders, you could argue that the Commanders have the worst defense in the NFL. It is bad. It is real bad. And Ron Rivera is supposed to be a defensive coach. Not a good look for the brand. I don't know. Jack says Ezekiel Elliott would have made this game a blowout. Unironically, he probably would have helped this team. Honestly, I still think that there would have been a spot for Zeke on this team. And no, he's not the player he once was. But he was like that power back, that complementary piece. And I guess Rico Dowdle's kind of been that. But I don't know. He still can get the tough yards sometimes. And they've kind of gone away from forcing Pollard to be this feature back. But whatever works, works. You can't nitpick too much. They're just going to kill the game now with Pollard, it looks like. They can take this into the 2-minute warning. I see Parker, Petty Polar Bear, popping online on my TV screen. But yes, Ezekiel Elliott, the death of me in Madden. Oh, man, he just kills me. He cooks me every time. 2-minute warning here as the clock winds down. It's already the 2-minute warning according to my computer. 3rd and 4 for Dallas, and what else is there to say, man? The Cowboys win again. They're going to be 7-0 at home. And they have just been so good at home this year, not just winning, but blowing people out. They have a big home field advantage. The crowd gets rowdy. So does Philly, obviously. I don't know, man. Them getting home field advantage in the playoffs would be important. I think it would matter. I don't know that they will, though. I do think that Cardinals' loss is going to maybe cost them the division, which is tough. I really do think they are a better team than Philly. We'll see. We will see. But this is now twice. They're not going to get outgained by 90, but they're getting outgained again. The Eagles' defensive concerns have kind of come home to roost. The other shoe has dropped with Philly a little bit. And they can figure things out. But this is not last year's team, that's for sure. It's crazy because they lost 3 games last year, right? Let's take a look at the 2022 Eagles. But the fashion in which they were winning some of these games, 3 losses. There's a real chance that this team finishes 14-3 again. But the vibes are just not the same. This was not as close of a game as the final score would indicate. This was a shellacking. They had a few close games, but they just rolled some teams. Man. They had a surprising amount of close games. But also, yeah. This team just did feel different. Look at that. Lost to Dallas, close game. And then a win versus Dallas, close game. I think they're about even. That's my take. And I might put the Cowboys ahead. Cowboys won 12-5 last year. They might surpass that this year. Mike McCarthy has quietly been like an excellent coach with them. And you can say what you want about maybe it's not all him. No, but he stepped into Dallas after 2019, a disappointing year. They started out hot and then sputtered. And they went 6-10 that first year after Dak got hurt. They looked sick the first few games though. And then it's been 12 wins, and they're probably going to get 12 or more again this year. You have to give them some credit, right? And you have to give them credit for switching up the offense when it wasn't working. Mark McCarthy has kind of been a good coach for them. Prescott's just going to take the sack. That's okay. The clock keeps running. Is Philly even going to call timeout here? No, probably not. Hey, we get to see Brandon Aubrey do his thing again. It's the Brandon Aubrey Show. Late night edition. Dallas. Okay, so we'll see Dallas call timeout here after the clock runs out, I guess. They're going to just wind it as much as they can, but they'll go up by 20, provided that they make this kick. It's going to go down to 113. Yeah, I want to thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. We got 7 people in here. It was fun doing a little Sunday night stream. I'd not done a Sunday night stream before, and worked out better with my schedule here to go live tonight. We had a maybe not quite as close of a game as we had hoped, but we got to see a Cowboys masterclass. And you know what? As I always like to say, the NFL is more fun when the Dallas Cowboys are good. That's my opinion. But I get why people don't like the Cowboys. I get it. But I got to start scheming up for this big Vikings-Giants Madden game now. You know, it's going to be a battle. Wish me luck. I'm chasing my first ever Super Bowl in this franchise. Never won the Super Bowl before. Been doing it for 4 years, I think. We started in 2020. But we shall see. Is that TJ Hawkinson in an LL Bean ad, or is that just a TJ Hawkinson looking fellow? Maybe. What's next week's slate looking like? Are there any good games next week? There's got to be, right? Well, yeah, the Sunday night game is good. We know that. We have the Saturday games, excuse me. Thursday night game, we'll see. But yeah, 3 Saturday games. The Vikings play at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Oh boy, time for Vikings football! Yay! Nah, who knows, man? At this point, the Vikings are incapable of playing a normal game. All these games are important, though. It's maybe not like a jaw-dropping lineup, but they're all important. The Bears are somehow still alive in the playoff hunt. They've been playing well recently. Going up against the Browns and their strong defense. Bucks-Packers, that's an important game. Texans-Titans. All these games have like major implications. Like there's no like game that means nothing really. That's good. This should be a fun game. This should be a fun game provided, you know, that maybe these teams are a little bit healthier, and this game will mean a lot. I mean, every game for the Bills is like a playoff game at this point. And this game will be a fun game, I feel like. The Seahawks are fighting for their playoff lives. So we'll see. We shall see. All right, well, we're going to see Brandon Aubrey hit this kick as another 50-yarder. Shout out to the Brandon Aubrey fantasy owners. My goodness. Been a machine. He's been on one. Chris Collinsworth saying he has a chance for a game ball. Why not? Give it to the kid. I say kid. He's fairly old, isn't he? Oh, yeah. Easy money. I mean, we knew that, but he is him. Look at Mike McCarthy smiling. That's a happy camper right there. $20-point lead for the Cowboys. They're going to beat the Eagles by 20. Statement win. I'm telling you, take this team seriously. I don't know. I feel like I'm running out of things to say, man. Like, Dallas has really controlled the game throughout. Philly didn't look like it really mounted a serious threat throughout most of it. We had some fun, though. We got to recap a nice Sunday slate. Some good games. Some shocking results as I'm pointing towards Jets and Texans. And I still cannot believe the Vikings won a game 3-0. Oh, the Vikings. Lowest scoring game in 16 years. Oh, the Vikings. Nick Mullins was our leading passer. Yeah, he was. Josh Dobbs had a QBR of 17.7. I mean, come on. I love Dobbs, though. Like I said, Dobbs could play like that the rest of the year. He could never play again for the Vikings. He will always be a Vikings legend for the Falcons and Saints games alone. Josh Dobbs will forever have a special place in my heart. I will forever love him. He's just not the answer, unfortunately. But it's okay. We'll see what the Eagles even do here to close this game out. I mean, they'll probably try and score, right? Watch them like fumble again or something. That would be sad. Oh, Mariota's in the game. They're just going to run the ball. Yeah. Wow. Cry, Eagles, cry. That's a bit aggressive. Hitting Sirianni with the, it was the national anthem from the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, this game is over. Well, I think we're going to wrap things up here. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Had a lot of fun hanging out here, talking ball, watching Eagles, Cowboys as the final seconds take off here. They're just going to run it again. Yeah, they're not even going to throw the ball. They're literally just running the clock out. They're probably going to just shake hands after this. But, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. I had a lot of fun. Yeah, they're walking off the field. It's over. Good win for the Cowboys. And my Dak Prescott MVC advocacy looks stronger and stronger by the week, man. A big win for the Cowboys. And we've got a race for the division to the finish. The Eagles kind of have to be perfect now. We'll see. We'll see. I still think they'll get it, but we'll see. But for me, the doctor, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to go live sometime soon again. I'm going to have a very crazy week this week with graduation and stuff, but maybe we can get a Fargo stream this time over winter break. Wasn't quite able to do it over Thanksgiving, but we'll try and make that happen. And keep your eyes out for that video. New video is going to be finally dropping soon, but that's all I've got. You'll have a good night. Love you guys. How about them Cowboys?